Yeah, you got a lot of newspapers piled up there.
Hey, there's a lot of good information in those newspapers.
I hope. Your Ben Joravsky show for Wednesday, June 12th is just moments away. But, what was that noise?
Ooh, the place is haunted.
Oh, my God.
Ooh.
But before we get into that, we would like to thank the following unions for jumping on board and helping bring back the Ben Joravsky show. First up, it's the International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers, Local 126 in District 8, the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 9, and the International Union of Operating Engineers, Local 150. Thank you once again to those unions for jumping on board and bringing back the Ben Joravsky show. And, of course, today's program is brought to you by our good friends at the Chicago Federation of Labor. The Ben Joravsky show starts now. It is Wednesday, June 12th, and live from the Chicago Sun-Times Chicago Reader Studio on Racine Avenue, this is the Ben Joravsky Show. Today on the program, legendary Chicago journalist Monroe Anderson returns. And get ready, listeners. It's former state senator and host of the Ricky Hendon Show. Yeah, Ricky Hendon. And now, host of the Ben Joravsky Show, Chicago Reader columnist, Ben Joravsky.
Hello, everybody. Ben Joravsky here. We're calling this High School Wednesday. And here's why. Interesting story in today's papers, not just the Sun-Times, but the Tribune. All right?
Can you please show the listeners the newspaper?
Oh, okay. Here's the Tribune, Chicago Tribune. Here is my beloved bright one, Chicago Sun-Times. And by the way, while we're at it, here's the New York Times.
See that, downloaders?
Here's the Reader. And while we're really at it, who's that millennial guy that waited yesterday?
Oh, pick one.
Pick one. Oh, wait, his name is not Pick One?
No.
It was whatever. He was like millennial listener. Look, millennial listener, the Mueller Report. Yep, the book. All right? But that's not what I'm talking about right now. Although it's always here if we need it to look up stuff like conduct toward Flynn's Manafort. After Flynn withdrew from a... Anyway, focus, Ben, focus. Headline in the Sun-Times, embarrassing defeat for Wagasback chairing his first finance meeting. All right, let me break this down. That would be the meeting of the Chicago City Council Finance Committee. That would be the finance committee that was previously chaired by Ed Burke. That would be the all-powerful, evil Ed Burke, who in addition to chairing the finance committee, which means overseeing every single contract, every single TIF deal that comes through the city of Chicago, also found time to run a very lucrative property tax business. All right, D? Okay, he's a busy guy, man.
And the guy, you got to make money.
Yeah,
you know?
he's got to make money because $110,000 a year, or whatever the aldermen get, is not enough.
Hey, Burger King, give me money.
So what Burke would do, allegedly, would be to shake down a business for his property tax business from people who are seeking contracts from the city. How about that? That's what you call a conflict of interest. That's what you call alleged fraud. The feds indicted him. Mayor Rahm forced Burke to step down as finance committee chair. And when Lori Lightfoot came in, she replaced him with Scott Wagasback. Now, Scott Wagasback, everybody, is about as different from Ed Burke as night from day. While Ed Burke does not really do much of anything to hide his conflict of interests and his desire to use government to facilitate his personal property tax business, Scott Wagasback has been sort of like a good scout since 2007 when he was first elected to the city council. Not even a trace iota of wrongdoing by Scott Wagasback. He's a man with integrity. He's a man who plays fair. He plays by the rules. He lives on his salary as an alderman. He does not have a property tax business on the side. In other words, he is the kind of person you think that everybody would look at as a role model. But in the up is down universe of Chicago City Council, they don't like him. The aldermen don't like Scott Wagasback. And to understand why, you have to understand that the Chicago City Council is like a high school cafeteria. It's just like high school. The aldermen are like the kids you went to high school with, all right? So in this case, they like the popular guy and they don't like the goody two-shoes guy. So the popular guy is Ed Burke. Now think of it this way, folks. Ed Burke's like that guy in high school who had his own car early, right? So he could drive
I hated
to places.
that guy.
You hated the guy with the car?
Yeah.
Usually the guy with the car was the one you relied on to get you like...
Jealous of him.
Oh, okay, there you go. But see, you may be jealous of, but you took those rides.
Man.
He took you to Burger King and maybe he had a little money because he was a rich kid. Daddy had money. So, hey, let me buy you a burger. And he also had a fake ID. You know, one of those guys with the fake ID so he can get you beer. Hey, kid, you want some beer? Hop in my car. All right? Scotty Wagsback, on the other hand, was the kind of kid who did his homework and raised his hand when the teacher asked a question. I know the answer.
Oh, those guys are annoying too.
See what I'm saying? And that's how it is in the Chicago City Council. Eddie Burke was the guy with the car. Hey, Alderman, I control the allowance. You need a little money for, let's say, to hire an extra staffer? No problemo. Hey, Alderman, you need a little money to buy an office computer? I got the money right here. Hey, Alderman, you need some money for your campaign? Hey, I'll come and write you a check right now. I like Ed Burke. I don't care if he has a property tax business and is shaking down people who do business with the city. He gave me a ride in his daddy's car. Metaphorically speaking, of course.
Thank you.
All right, yes. Meanwhile, here's what Scott Wagesback did. When it came to very important decisions that would affect billions or millions and millions of dollars, he voted the right way. How about that? How outrageous is that? He analyzed the situation. He studied it. He weighed the pros and the cons, and he said, like, for instance, in the case of the parking meter deal, this is a bad deal. I'm going to vote no. And how do the other aldermen respond to that? They get angry at Scott Wagesback. Why? Because they're all voting yes, and by him voting no, he's making them look bad. So there you go. They love Ed Burke because he's got daddy's car and he's giving them goodies, most of which he collected by shaking down, allegedly, people who do business with the city of Chicago. And they hate Scott Wagersback because he votes the right way, looking out for the interests of the property taxpayers, and he makes them look bad because they voted the wrong way. You're following that, everybody? So Lori Lightfoot, give her credit, had Scott Wagersback installed as the Finance Committee chair. It was all about her efforts to clean up government. Yesterday was his first meeting, and there was a decision. There was a settlement they had to pass. I will now read from Fran Spielman's article in today's Sun-Times. Quote, yesterday's meeting, a $3.7 million settlement stemming from a drunken driving accident in River West that left a young woman paralyzed from the waist down. Aldermen have nothing but sympathy for Kelsey Ibach, one of the four passengers in a car that Philip Cho drove off a roadway and over a 25-foot embankment at the intersection of Erie Street and Union Avenue. Man, that is something else. It fell 25 feet. The aldermen were furious that beleaguered Chicago taxpayers were left holding the bag for $3.7 million, while the drunken motorist who fled the scene paid roughly $30,000, and the owner of the nightclub that allegedly overserved Cho was on the hook for over $1 million. Now, I can understand why the aldermen would be furious. I, too, am kind of furious. The city of Chicago was not the one who fed the motorist the drinks so that he was drunk. The city of Chicago was not the one behind the wheel driving the car off the embankment. The city of Chicago's responsibility in all this had to do with whether or not they properly illuminated the roadway so that drivers would know that there was the potential of going off the embankment. Of all the people responsible for what went down, the city of Chicago is arguably the least responsible. Why, therefore, are the taxpayers of the city of Chicago being asked to pay the most? That's a very good question. And the answer is, if anybody who knows personal injury lawyers know, the city of Chicago's got the deepest pockets. So when you file a lawsuit like that, the chances are that you're going to go after the person with the most money to give if you want to get the most money. And so they're going after the city of Chicago. Now, the aldermen have a choice. They could, if they want, say, no, we're going to vote no on this settlement, in which case the case goes to court. If they lose in court, you're looking at a settlement, you're looking at a verdict of $25 to $30 million. So Lori Lightfoot is advising the aldermen to basically take the lower amount of money. Instead of risking a trial that could lead to a $25 million verdict, take the 3.7. This stuff happens all the time in the city of Chicago, people. It happened all the time under Mayor Rahm. It happened all the time under Mayor Daley. And by the way, Ed Burke was the alderman in charge of the finance committee who approved all of these settlements, and they just slipped right through with barely a dissent. Oh, maybe some alderman would get up and vent and moan and groan, but they wouldn't vote no. Well, yesterday they voted no, 13-8, I think it was. And in the aftermath, they said it was outrageous that the city of Chicago would have to pay so much money when they're the least responsible for what went down. And again, like I said, they make a good point, but I have to ask myself, did they vote 13-8 that way because they took a principled stand to protect the fiduciary interest taxpayers of the city of Chicago, the same alderman, by the way, who felt that there was no harm in passing the parking meter deal twice? Did they finally take a principled stand? Or did they just take that vote to embarrass Scotty, the kid they don't like in the cafeteria? You decide, Chicagoans. We got a great show today, everybody. Monroe Anderson will be here. He'll be here about 1:30 talking Trump.
Yeah.
Trump.
Okay.
Trump. And
fitness.
What?
Fitness.
He'll be talking fitness. We'll be feeding him some of the lifesavers, by the way.
Speaking of,
yeah.
I'm gonna get rid of that bag. It's in the,
the lifesavers. We have delicious.
Nice
Mark Sims brought some lifesavers that are in the studio. All our guests will now be dining courtesy of Mark Sims, yesterday's guest, and Ricky Hendon, former alderman, former state senator, talk show host, and knows a thing or two about politics. That's for sure. I'm going to ask Ricky Hendon when he comes to the studio.
Do it. Ask him.
Did he think the aldermen suddenly came to found their inner reformers and said, you know what, I'm going to look out for the fiduciary interests of the taxpayers? Or does he think the aldermen were just trying to embarrass one Scotty Wagasback? So we got a lot of political talk ahead of us with Monroe Anderson and Ricky Hendon. But before we do any of that, it's time for the national news.
All right, everybody. My name's Dennis. How's it going? It's the middle of Wednesday. First things first, let's talk about the national news happening this afternoon. Donald Trump Jr., the president's oldest son, he testified in a closed-door hearing before the Senate Intelligence Committee today. Before the hearing, he was asked by reporters if he had come to correct his 2017 testimony and responded saying there was, quote, nothing to correct. So the hearing's over. Remember, it was closed doors, so we don't know what the hell happened. But after the hearing, Trump Jr. told reporters, quote, I don't think I changed anything I said because there was nothing to change. I see.
No collusion. Oh, yeah, Donald Trump Jr. Wow.
Oh, okay. Responding to a question that asked whether he feared perjury allegations, he responded, not at all.
Oh, no. He has got to fear that at all.
What was he going to say? Yes?
Yeah, I'm very scared. Yeah, if he was honest. Yeah, I'm really scared. I don't know what I said last time.
Meanwhile, Dad, Donald Trump Sr.
No collusion.
Yeah, that guy. You all know how this works by now, right? New day, new beef for the president. Today, our president is lashing out on a released report relating to internal polling taken by his re-election campaign. Last month, Politico reported that internal polling suggested Trump's support was slipping in 3 key battleground states in the Midwest after rising interest in Joe Biden's run for the Democratic presidential nomination. The New York Times reported on Monday that Trump instructed aides to lie about the poll findings. This caused Trump to take to Twitter, obviously, suggesting that these polls never existed in the first place, obviously, and featured in the tweet were the words like fake news, witch hunt, corrupt media, and full sentences in all caps, obviously.
Yeah.
Oh, and today the Trump administration has asserted executive privilege on documents related to the 2020 census. The move was announced just as the House Oversight Committee is about to vote on a motion that would hold Attorney General William Barr and Treasury Secretary Wilbur Ross in contempt of Congress for failure to disclose the documents.
Yes, all right. Let's deal with the polls first. We talked about this yesterday. There was another poll that the New York Times cited. I think it was an internal White House poll that showed Joe Biden ahead of Trump in like 17 different states. I'm doing this off the top of my head. So let's face. All right, folks, ask yourself, who do you believe? Do you think the New York Times just made it up? Do you think the New York Times just said, well, yeah, we'll just make, I know what we'll do. We'll wake up today and make up a story.
What if we made up the news?
Yeah, we'll just make up the news.
Here's an idea.
Yeah. Or do you think Donald Trump is lying? New York Times making up news, Donald Trump lying. Hey, we're right back to that debate about the city council. City council suddenly finding its inner do the right thing or just trying to embarrass Scotty Wagasback. Let's weigh and balance. I would have to say that Donald Trump is making it up as he goes along, and that sounds so much like Trump. And by the way, having read the Mueller report.
He read that whole thing already, guys. When did you buy it?
I bought it Saturday. I did not actually. All right. Let truth be told, I cannot tell a lie. I am not Donald Trump. I cannot tell a lie. I've not read the whole thing yet.
Obviously. How giant that thing is.
I'll tell you. Well, it doesn't even have, it's 728 pages. Anyway, I do believe that Donald Trump is lying. I do believe that internal polls show that Donald Trump is losing to Joe Biden and perhaps other Democratic candidates as well. And I do believe that Donald Trump is losing his freaking mind over the prospects that he's going to be humiliated in the upcoming election. And so he's freaking out, just like he freaked out when the Rod Rosenstein appointed Mueller to investigate his alleged collusion with Russia. So yeah, Donald Trump tends to freak out when he gets bad news and sets off a bunch of tweets attacking everybody he thinks is responsible for the bad news without ever looking in the mirror, making stuff up as he goes along. And so that is what I believe in that story, dude.
I mean, you say all that, but I mean...
No collusion.
Yeah, well, it's okay.
I mean, no collusion.
Valid point, yeah.
Trump counselor Kellyanne Conway spoke with reporters at the White House briefly today. Conway was asked for comment on the pending Supreme Court decision on the 2020 census. She said, quote, "I think what's happening is that people who are worried that it's constitutional, in fact, to ask a citizenship question on the U.S. Census are trying to pregame it and get ahead of that by colluding the coverage, and that's unfortunate."
Colluding?
Yeah, now they're using collusion.
Whoa.
Now
So now there is collusion.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. There's only other side colludes. This story has been kicked around for a while, folks. And the notion is that if you ask people whether they're citizens on the census, fewer people will participate in the census. They'll be hiding from census takers. That will decrease the number, following on this, of people who live in blue states, particularly people of Hispanic origin. So it would be at a disadvantage to the Democrats and an advantage to the Republicans. Now, ask yourself this, folks. Do you believe that the Republican Party, if it could, would manipulate the census in order to get a political advantage? I say, given the history of the Republican Party over the last 50 or so years, a resounding yes. Of course they would. You know it too, folks. They would do anything to win an election. We've seen that time and time again. Remember Donald John Trump in October of 2016 when he was expecting to lose said, "It's rigged." As soon as he won, he goes, "The most decisive triumph of all time." So I don't think the Republicans have much credibility on this issue. And the big problem for the state of Illinois is that if you rig the census so that fewer people participate and we have lower numbers, then there's less. Then there's a lower count for the state of Illinois. It means less federal funds for the state of Illinois, fewer representation, fewer congressional districts, less representation in Congress. So there are practical consequences for rigging the census, and most of those practical consequences benefit the Republicans.
Our new millennial friend Kyle is on the live stream.
Is that the guy? Yes, Kyle.
He just now joined. He says here, "I'm looking, but I don't see the print copy of the Mueller report Ben was going to show the camera from yesterday." Ben, why don't you get up from your chair and just put it right in the camera just to show him that it says the Mueller report. We're not lying here, all right? He bought this thing.
Yeah, there's no Donald Trump.
There's no, look at that. There you go. Mueller report. Show him how many pages it is. Look at that. My God. He's going to read all of that.
All right, hold on one second.
Okay.
This is for Kyle.
Oh, this is fantastic podcasting here.
16,
Okay, please sit back down. All right, and Kellyanne Conway, for those wondering, by the way, all two of you, Kellyanne Conway has officially moved on from Hillary Clinton, Ben.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, yeah. If you followed the 2016 election, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, she has a new presidential candidate to torture for about 2 years. Ben, any guess as to who that may be? Here's a hint. He's really old.
Let me guess. His initials are the same as the governor of the state of Illinois.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, it's Grandpa Joe, former vice president and now 2020 POTUS candidate Joe Biden. Conway first brought up the 2020 Democratic primary race as a whole and called it, quote, "that hot mess."
Where was this interview?
It was a whole press conference today. And then said that it is obsessive, weird, and downright goofy that Vice President Biden doesn't mention President Obama but a few times in his speech, and he mentions President Trump 76 times.
Yeah, well, he's not running against Obama. He's running against Trump. Is there more in this?
That's it.
All right. Well, there's actually this is an interesting thing. We're probably talking about this all day. I would love to hear Ricky Hennon on this. I'm always reading strategies suggested to the Democrats by Republicans or conservative columnists. Like they really care about the Democrats. You know what I mean? Obviously, it's like they want to act as though they're giving constructive advice to Democrats when I think it's this passive-aggressive thing where they want to give advice to Democrats in the hopes that the Democrats will actually follow the advice that they give them and that Democrats will lose. So one of the things they always say is, and some Democrats say this too, let's not mention Trump. Let's run on the issues. D, when has the issues ever elected anybody? I mean, I care about issues, okay? I'm a geek. I write a column. I analyze this stuff for a living. Most voters, I hate to say it, ladies and gentlemen, don't pay attention to the issues. And the big issue, number one issue in this country right now in terms of national politics is Donald Trump. You either love him or you hate him. And I think that most people dislike him in this country. And I think it's just so obvious, despite what all the Republicans are advising the Democrats, that the fastest way for the Democrats to win is to just keep hammering at Trump. That's my personal opinion. I think that's what motivated the electorate in 2018 when the Democrats took back the Congress. That and healthcare. So I would respectfully disagree with Kellyanne Conway. I would urge Joe Biden and all the Democrats to keep up the attacks on Donald Trump.
Now, of course, we'll keep you posted on these stories as today's program rolls along. Our 1:30 guest, Monroe Anderson, loves talking about national news, so you know he's going to be talking about all of this later on as well. But for the time being, we are going to move on. And after this short little break, people, we are going to find out what else is news. Don't go anywhere. It's the Ben Joravsky Show. Read the Chicago Reader to get up to speed on what's what in Chicago. Culture, food, arts and entertainment, weekly concert listings, weekly event listings, the environment, travel. I can continue, but you get the point. And for all of you Chicago political junkies, raw weekly columns on real city politics from Maya Dukmasova and our very own Ben Joravsky. The Chicago Reader, free to the public in newsstands throughout the city and online at chicagoreader.com. Read it now and be a more informed Chicagoan. Welcome back to the Ben Joravsky Show, live from the Chicago Sun-Times.
Yes, indeed. Smith drafted multiple emails stating or intimidating.
Quit. Are you reading the Mueller report?
Yeah,
Stop
that's
it.
my favorite part.
Okay.
Page 123.
Take it home and leave it home.
I like the Mueller report. All right, I'm going to just put it here, folks, and I'm going to resist reading the Mueller report. Leah, you're not allowed to read the Mueller report either, okay? I know you're tempted. There we go.
Thanks for starting that, Kyle the Millennial. Bastard. All right, okay. We're about to find out what's going on. You're not a bastard, Kyle. We're about to find out what's going on locally. If you could pick anywhere in the city of Chicago to place the Obama Center / museum, where would you put it? That was the question we asked all of you on our Facebook and Twitter pages after a federal judge in Chicago threw out a lawsuit attempting to block construction of the Obama Presidential Center in Jackson Park. And Ben, I think we may be doing something right here because the people have responded to our question.
They've weighed in.
Whoa, that's a little different, you know? So we're going to be reading your Obama Center suggestions in a moment. But first, Baby Daily is going to Wall Street.
Oh, there's another big surprise.
Just a week after reports were released that former mayor, and boy, it felt great to say that, Rahm Emanuel joined the Wall Street investment firm Centerview Partners as an investment banker. Former 2019 Chicago mayoral candidate Bill Daley is doing it too.
He's a banker. He's going back to his banking roots, huh?
The following comes from Crane's Chicago Business and one Ann Weiler. Ben, I've almost got Crane's writer Greg Hines booked for the show. We got to find a date for next month. Please no Greg Hines jokes about him being awful at poker.
Did I ever tell you about the time I played poker with Greg Hines back in 1981?
He was good, right?
Oh, no, he was terrible.
Okay.
He was a terrible bluffer. And plus, he could get distracted and be talking and forget what was played and wouldn't follow it. Yeah, no.
I got an email here. Hold on. Hines. It's from Greg Hines. Okay, we just lost the interview.
Okay.
Damn
Listen,
it.
Greg Hines, great reporter. You know,
Too late now.
but terrible poker player.
All right, well, we'll continue with the Cranes article.
Okay.
Bill Daley is joining Bank of New York Mellon, or Milan. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Mellon.
Yeah.
As a vice chairman, he'll oversee government affairs, communications, philanthropy, and corporate social responsibility. The bank announced today he'll be based in New York, according to a bank spokeswoman.
Yeah, here, a big surprise here. By the way, a little fun-filled fact about the Bank of New York Mellon. It was started by Alexander Hamilton. Did you know that?
No.
I only knew that because I looked it up when I saw he got the job. I was like, oh, yeah. But I'm not surprised at all that Bill Daley would go back to being a banker. He was a banker before. He made a lot of money at Chase. He is sort of Exhibit A, as is Rahm. I guess Rahm would be Exhibit B, of the kind of Democrat that banks need. They want a Democrat, somebody who works for the bank, who could provide them access to the leaders of the Democratic Party when they're dealing with oversight and regulatory issues. Like, let's say a bank wants to buy another bank, or let's say a bank wants less oversight on how it lends money. And so you've already got your hooks in the Republican Party. A guy like Daley with contacts in the Democratic Party is exceedingly valuable. So I'm sure they're paying him well for his last name, if nothing else, just as I'm sure the bank that, or it's not a bank, it's an investment firm that Rahm's working for, is going to pay him well also. So there you go, and I think the voters of the city of Chicago essentially, they rejected Daley. He couldn't even make the runoff, and they essentially forced Rahm to not even bother running for the race. So I think the people of the city of Chicago are kind of tired of Democrats who are pretty clearly representing the banking industry, et cetera. They don't want them running their town. But that doesn't stop these Democrats from going off and making big money doing what they do best, and that is using their Democratic connections to lobby on the behalf of big banks.
So you're saying it's not a coincidence, and if Mayor Daley were to win, it'd be kind of more of the same.
If Mayor Daley had won the last election,
Bill Daley had
oh
won,
my goodness, it would have been Rahm 3, yes, which actually would have been Richie M. Daley. I forget how many times. Rahm was a continuation of Richard M. Daley, and Bill Daley would have been a continuation of Rahm. So yeah, so the city of Chicago really did take a strong stand against the kind of government we've had for the last. I don't always appreciate that enough, D. You know what I'm saying? I should be more appreciative of what the people of the city of Chicago did. I spend all my time concentrating on the bad things that the city council does. Like, for instance,
be more appreciative.
I should be, trying to embarrass Scott Wagasback at yesterday's council vote, as opposed to, seriously considering the issues at hand. But so let me be more appreciative. Thank you, voters, for taking a decisive stand against 40 more years of Daleyism.
Aw, that's nice. I like appreciative, Benjamin.
Come on. The glass is not always half empty, D. Sometimes it's half full. All right, remember that.
You're telling me this.
Okay.
I often have to tell you that.
Yeah.
All right. It's not Daley's first time on Wall Street, as Ben said. He spent 7 years at J.P. Morgan Chase. He also served as chief of staff to President Barack Obama and Commerce Secretary under President Bill Clinton. All right, now it's time to read your Obama Center suggestions.
Okay.
Once again, the question, if you could pick anywhere in the city of Chicago to place the Obama Center / museum, where would you put it? Head over to our Facebook or Twitter page and leave us your suggestion at Benny J Show, BENNY, the letter J Show. Now, Ben, be listening here and weigh in. Let's do the Twitter suggestions first. First, it's Amy's suggestion. Where in the city of Chicago would we put the Obama Center? Amy says, next to the casino. Ha, kidding. Michael Reese. It's an easy fix, community revitalization and preservation of historic parkland for all to enjoy. No reason we should be selling off our public assets. OFC sees value in parkland and lake. Why don't we?
Who wrote this?
That would be Amy.
Amy, great suggestion. Let me just say this. The casino may end up being at the Michael Reese site, so you may actually have predicted where it's going to go. By the way, the city of Chicago owns that land. That's land on the near south side of Chicago. Used to be Michael Reese Hospital. Michael Reese Hospital went out of business a few years back, and in 2008, I want to say, or 2007, the city of Chicago, under the leadership of the aforementioned Mayor Daley, purchased that land for about $95 million. $95 million. We were going to put the Olympics there, the Olympic residential village for where the athletes would stay while they were participating in the games. Of course, there was no Olympics. We didn't get the Olympics, but guess what? We did get a bill for $95 million for some land now that we don't know what to do with. So it would make all the sense in the world to put land that we already own to good use by putting the center there. But guess what, D?
Huh.
If it makes sense in the city of Chicago, we're not going to do it. You know what? Didn't I say I was going to look at the glass?
That's what I'm telling you.
Hold on, let me take a drink of water.
Okay, sure.
Having had that drink, the glass is not even half filled. The glass is like 3/4 filled.
Up next, it's Fred Klonsky's suggestion. Hey, we know him.
Hey, Fred, man. He's a pension man. The
Whoa.
guy knows more about pensions than anyone not named Jeff Johnson.
Check out his show on Lumpin' Radio on Fridays, I believe, at 11 a.m. His suggestion for the Obama Center, he says, put it across the street from the judge who ruled they could put it in a public park.
That's pretty clever. By the way, do you know that Fred Klonsky's nickname is the Hammer?
Oh, yeah. You told me that.
Okay, just want to know that.
On several occasions. All right, how about Dos Equis 52, huh? Dos Equis 52 leaves us a stoic suggestion on Twitter for the location of the Obama Center. Dos Equis 52 types, I believe it's important to distinguish the Obama Foundation Center from the President Obama Library. The foundation should not receive special treatment reserved for a presidential library if it is not home to the library.
I agree with him. Listen, whatever. I know I'm out of touch with most of the people in the city of Chicago on this, although it sounds like our listeners are weighing in. I do not believe they should put the presidential library or center, whatever it is, in Jackson Park. I think it's a misuse of park space. I think we should keep as much park space as we possibly can have. I understand that in the past the city has greenlit development of park space. That doesn't mean we should continue to do so, folks. There's only a limited amount of it, particularly park space that's right on the lake, and then people say, oh, Ben, all you like to do is walk in the grass and look at the trees, man.
Who's that? Is that an impression of a person? Who was that?
Back in the day, I've written many articles. D, I've been writing a long time in the city of Chicago.
Yeah, you're old, dude.
I'm old, man. I've written so many articles back in the 90s and the O's.
20s, the 30s.
Always railing against some dumb plan by the city of Chicago to develop its park, use up its park space. I remember fighting against Latin School. They wanted to put a soccer field in Lincoln Park. And Monroe just walked in with an umbrella. Looks like it's raining outside.
Yeah, you are on top of it today.
So I'm always railing about this, that, the other thing. And every time I did this back in the 90s and the O's, a Daily supporter would go, oh, Ben, all you care about is birds.
Now, who is that? Is that a person you were doing an impression of?
That's my Daily supporter.
Oh, that's a Daily supporter. Okay.
Oh, all you care about is birds and grass. What did you care about with people? People want a building, all right, man? Get with it. So I've been hearing that for a long time, and I'll be hearing it. Or now they'll go, President Obama was a great president, and if he wants his building in a park, let him put it in the park. That's Chicago, and speaking there, Monroe Anderson shaking his head, man. The beautiful grass, gardens, and trees, and all that kind of stuff. No, we don't want that in Chicago. Just put another building in a park.
Joravsky's been writing articles a long time. Head over to the Chicago Reader Archive. Read that column he did on the Great Depression. Boy, it was good.
I was at the bread. You know who was hanging out with me in the bread lines then?
Who's that?
Monroe Anderson.
I knew it. All right, more of your...
and as far as Lincoln Parkways is concerned, or whatever, Riverways, or whatever that name is, I've suggested that they put a park in there and name it after Ed Euler.
Oh, Ed Euler, yeah. You mean Lincoln Yards?
Lincoln Yards, yeah.
Okay. Oh, that would be radical.
Yeah, right.
Instead of spending money to build like enormous skyscrapers, build a park. Whoa.
Yeah, named after the architect who designed Millennium Park.
Yeah. Wow, that's good. You probably were friends with Ed Euler.
Yeah.
All right. I figured as much.
Neighbor.
Yeah.
Let's do a few more of these suggestions. We'll take a break and talk with Monroe here. All right. And Monroe, please feel free to weigh in where you think the Obama Center should go.
Oh, yeah. That's what we're talking about. Where should the Obama Center go as opposed... But wait, time out. Do you want it to go in Jackson Park?
I do. But I'd rather go on the old hospital site.
Oh, Michael Reese, that's what we're talking
Reese,
about.
yeah,
that would only make the most sense.
Right,
It's
exactly.
land already owned by the city of Chicago. It's undeveloped. There's nothing there.
They have to do some ERA stuff.
They have to take
toxic
take out the
stuff.
toxins and stuff like that. Yeah.
Our good friend Doris Davenport weighed in, host of the Doris Davenport Show. Doris Davenport says the Obama Center should go on the west side because it could spur economic development. A perfect tweet from Doris.
I'm with Doris 100%. Doris, I want you to know, speaking of the many columns I've written over the years, I lost that fight about, I want to say, what was it, 5 years ago, whenever this issue was first being raised, about 2014, 2015. I advocated for the West Side site. There was a West Side site. I think like Roosevelt and Costner, with a huge vacant land that had been a dumping site where the city of Chicago and the feds were looking the other way while they were dumping huge mounds of garbage in a residential area.
Yeah, right. So that shows what you think about our president.
See, that's there you go. That's the guy's from Gary, but he's got that Chicago attitude.
Doris with
you only honor an ex-president by taking away valuable parkland, of which we have a limited amount, to put his building there. That's how you honor a president.
Well, it's also parkland around that building. And realistically, realistically on this, you got to have a place where tourists will go readily.
Okay. See, now West Side,
exactly.
that's Monroe Anderson dissing the West Side.
Yeah.
We got Ricky Hennig coming in here in a little while. Okay. Who's from the West Side? I want to see if you tell Ricky Hennig that.
Because I'm southeast side, Gary.
Yes, you're southeast. Here we go. Let's put it in Gary. Why not? Barack Obama, by the way, got his start as a community organizer in the city of Chicago. Yes. He would not have been. I don't think he would believe it would be an insult to his legacy to put the Obama Center on the west side of Chicago. Just saying.
He was a community leader in Roseland, not on the west side.
All right, I'll cut a deal with you. I'll put it in Roseland. There we go. We just cut a deal.
Nice. Cut deals on the Ben Joravsky Show. Doris, the last suggestion you gave, excellent suggestion. Gave an equally logical reason for it as well. The next person who left a suggestion could really learn a thing or two from Doris Davenport. At Fokker RN529.
Whoa.
At Fokker RN529.
That just rolls off your tongue.
Yeah, I know. The suggestion for the Obama Center, where should it go? This person put Hillary's butt. Okay. Our next suggestion comes from John. John says Washington Park site would have had direct Green Line access and probably no need to chop up existing streets.
Where did he say?
Washington Park.
See, I got my issues with Washington Park too. In fact, Ricky will be with me 100%. Ricky was one of the only guys in the city of Chicago, Monroe, who agreed with me that it was lunacy to put the Olympic Stadium in Washington Park, because Washington Park was a widely used park on the south side of Chicago for things like softball, tag football, tennis, kite flying, walking and looking at the birds, that kind of thing. People using a park, and the city of Chicago was going to put a big stadium in there for that.
No, I disagree with that too.
Yeah, so I don't know.
I like the site they've chosen, except I think they need to figure out the traffic. What is that, Cornell Street? They're going
to close down Cornell Street, the street that cuts through the park right now.
Exactly, and that's criminal. They need to either have a drive over or under something, which is more expensive. But you...
I cut the deal with you. Roseland. Okay. Put it in Roseland, far south, close to Gary, so when you're driving to visit your family, you can stop.
and the routine shootings that occur over there.
Stop it.
The tourists go, let's go have a Westworld adventure.
The tourists will go to Roseland, build it, and they will come. And by the way, why is it supposed to be a tourist site? I thought it was supposed to be a place for like scholars who are looking to research. Isn't that what
No,
it's not even a real library.
It doesn't have books. It's more like a community center.
I see. Okay.
And there you are.
Roseland could use a community center. All right.
Just like that, you're now in the know of what's going on locally, and now you will have an answer the next time someone asks you, hey, what else is news?
All right, let me tell you something, young man.
Okay, tell me.
Something that Kyle the Millennial.
Oh, hey, Kyle, what's up, dude?
Dos Equis 52. And Bong Hits for Birdie. Remember?
Bong Hits. What's up? Do you still listen to the show? He used to listen to our old show. This is for you, Bong Hits.
Remember, but we may have lost Bong Hits somewhere. You know, with all those Bong Hits, he doesn't learn how to download, listen to a podcast.
Now you're putting marijuana in a negative light, Ben Joravsky.
Bong Hits for Birdie. Anyway, they all agree you did a great job. Give yourself a raise. Take it out of petty cash. We got the pride and joy of Gary, Indiana, sitting right here in the studio. Monroe Anderson will bring them on when we return.
Whether you're conservative or moderate or progressive, I don't think the American people are proud that we have a president who is a pathological liar.
Today's Ben Joravsky Show was brought to you in part by Chicago Architecture Center. See the city from a whole new angle on a Chicago Architecture Center tour. With more than 85 tours to choose from, there are endless stories to discover. Book your tour at architecture.org/tours. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm on a tour. Oh my, what magnificent architecture!
Did you know that 40% of the people in Illinois opt to be cremated? Well, it's true. And Chicagoland Cremation Options honors their wishes by providing cremation services directly to the general public. Chicagoland Cremation Options provides an affordable, ethical, and easy cremation arrangement, whether in person or online. Save thousands and streamline the process by going directly to Chicagoland Cremation Options. It's a family-owned business operated by my good friend, Douglas Klein. Here's how you reach them. ChicagolandCremationOptions.com. One more time. ChicagolandCremationOptions.com.
It's Chicagoland's adult entertainment playground. It's the world-famous Admiral Theater, 3940 West Lawrence Avenue. The Admiral is homegrown from Chicago, and it's the most conveniently located club in all of the city. 15 minutes from the O'Hare Airport in downtown Chicago Loop. Voted Chicago's best strip club, the Admiral has showgirls galore and a variety of adult entertainment shows. The world-famous Admiral Theater, open every day from 7 p.m. to 6 a.m., 3940 West Lawrence Avenue. For events, showtime, and other information, visit AdmiralX.com. Must be 18 years of age or older to enter.
Commercial break over. Welcome back to the Ben Joravsky Show.
Yes, indeed. We're back in the studio. Monroe Anderson here, and every day, every Wednesday, Monroe comes on. Midweeks with Monroe. Monroe Midweeks. It used to be called Monroe Monday.
And now it's Monroe Midweek.
Midweek, okay. I like Monroe Monday, so it just rolled off the tongue.
Yeah, that's in the past, buddy.
Yeah, that's the past because we're not on Mondays, and so
we could call it that and then explain later.
Yes, we Monroe Monday with an asterisk. But anyway, the day of whatever day it is, Wednesday, that when Monroe comes on, he posts on Facebook. Monroe's Facebook page, folks, is really one of the most entertaining things in the world because Monroe, as everybody knows, who listens to the show, is not afraid. How do I put this? To tell it like it is when it comes to Donald John Trump. And he has many Facebook friends who are of the Republican persuasion. And in the old show, they used to call in. Then they got chicken. You smacked them around so much, they stopped calling.
Right.
They got scared.
Yeah.
Hey, Mitchell.
Yeah, Mitchell, I'm scared.
But James N hangs in there on my Facebook wall.
Oh, yeah, James N always loves Donald Trump. But here we go. Here's the lead from today's Monroe Facebook post. Our liar-in-chief is going nuttier. Can you imagine Trump asking his internal pollsters to lie about the latest poll results? Do you believe that his undocumented agreement with Mexico about border patrol is real? Do you think, as I do, that the Democrats are to be relentlessly pursuing the 3 I's: impeach, indict, imprison? Ben and I will discuss this and other things. Trump, Trump, Trump. Great post. Our liar-in-chief is going nuttier. Do you think that's accurate? Do you think he's actually nuttier than he was, let's say, last week?
Yes, because Biden is living inside his head now, and he's driving him nuttier. Because Biden is going mano a mano with him, and he knows how to trigger Trump. Nancy knows how to trigger Trump. Most of these other people, what they do, the other candidates, what they do is they respond to him directly. And he's very good. That's like playing the dozens, you know.
Yeah.
And he's good at that. So, but what Biden does is he very calmly talks about how Trump is crazy, basically. And he does it in such a way that just really upsets Trump. What they did the other day, for example, Trump was having Biden was having this speech in Iowa while Trump was going to be there. They released Biden's speech, what he was going to talk about, how he was going to badmouth Trump in the morning. And so Trump had 8 hours to stew over what Biden was going to say about him. And he couldn't, you know, any logical, sane man would have let it alone. Instead, he starts attacking Biden ahead of time. And so he sounds like a madman. He's talking about things that Biden will be saying. And he's also, another thing he's doing is he's attacking Biden for being an old man.
Yeah.
There's a 3-year difference in their ages.
That is an interesting thing. He is hammering as being an old man. Donald Trump is, what is he?
He'll be 73 in a few days.
Wow. And Biden is 76?
Yes.
Yeah, and he's kind of, all right, now.
And what I would like to do is have Biden challenge Trump to a 3-block speed walk.
Speed walk. Let's keep it low, okay? Exactly. Let's not make it too daunting.
Exactly.
A speed walk.
Right, exactly. And see who wins.
Yeah.
Trump couldn't even finish 3 blocks.
By the way, today, while walking to the studio today, I don't know if you ever get it, somebody passed me a while. I was on the phone. I think I was talking to you.
Yeah.
And I'm walking down the street, talking on the phone. Someone passed me, and it got me going. Just you passed me? So then I started walking really fast to keep up. And then I got the feeling, this person probably thinks I'm really weird. Well, I mean, I can understand why. But
probably. But.
No, he didn't think you were weird. He said, oh, that must be Ben.
I start walking. I get right up. Was it a man or a woman? I can't remember. Anyway, I'm on a tangent there. All right. Now, when you say that Biden's behavior gets under Trump's skin, let's break this down. Do you think it's Biden's behavior, or do you think it's the fact that Biden is the front runner? In other words, do you think that
it is? No, it is because Biden's the front runner, because Biden can appeal to those white men, unemployed white men, and that Trump pulled over from the Democrats. Biden knows how to talk their language, and in fact, he is much closer to being one of them than Trump ever dreamed.
When you say talk their language, what do you mean?
Let's have a drink. Let's just talk about stuff. I mean, he talks about working class values, and he authentically talks about them, whereas Trump is like BSing.
I have a hard.
If you listen to Biden talk, and you've been fighting off Biden detractors, I know, for some time now. And Biden has his problems, that's for sure. But he is the greatest threat to Trump, and Trump knows it. And so when Biden aims his guns at Trump, it just like...
Well, the reality is I'm all over the map when it comes to Joe Biden because, how do I put this? There's a part of me, the old baby boomer, I'm influenced by the same events that have influenced Bill Clinton, and David Axelrod and Rahm Emanuel, and the worldview that all these and Hillary Clinton, all these baby boomers have is of the 1972 presidential campaign of George McGovern, where the Democrats allowed themselves to fall in line behind a person who was on the left, politically speaking. They got destroyed in the next, really did get an electoral college landslide for Richard Milhouse Nixon.
Right.
And for 10 trivia points, do you know the only 2 entities that voted for McGovern in that election?
D.C.
Yes, of course, D.C.
Right. And was it Vermont,
nope.
A place like that.
Massachusetts. Anyway,
yeah, okay. It
was New England. Okay, so
anyway,
so their attitude is they will never go left again, and they will always go to the center or go to the right, whatever is necessary to avoid that kind of embarrassment.
Yeah, that was Clinton's triangulation.
That's Clinton's. Clinton laid it down on Axelrod, and Emanuel follow it. Now, the notion is that everybody like you or me or Leah or Dennis, who's of the Democratic persuasion, will have no choice but to go along because the alternative will be so bad. The alternative is Donald Trump. So all the lefty Dems in the end will shut up and vote for the centrist.
Yeah.
That is the typical Democratic strategy.
Yes.
And I have a hard time. I struggle with this, Monroe. You understand?
Same here.
Yeah, because we're both baby boomers. We grew up with the same reality, all right?
But actually, I mean, I like it that Biden is driving Trump nuts. But I'm hoping that we'll get somebody younger as our front runner.
Well, it's I don't know who. I can't see anybody. Who? Kamala Harris? I mean, who is significantly younger than Joe Biden that would be, in your opinion, a flag bearer for the leftist or progressive factions of the Democratic Party? Can't think of anybody right now. Bernie Sanders is even older than Biden and Trump.
Well, Elizabeth Warren's a few years younger.
Yeah,
about 5 years younger.
Yeah.
So by Trump standards, she's younger than Trump. So by Trump standards,
she's a babe in the woods. Okay.
Yeah, right.
So I don't know. Young people running for president right now.
Buttigieg is the youngest, but he is he's sort of middle road.
I would take "sort of" out of that sentence, and I am convinced that Buttigieg will not be able to win a Democratic primary. His relations with black voters in South Bend, Indiana is very problematic.
Yeah,
and I do not see how he can get through the southern states where black people are, 40% of the Democratic Party or 50%?
Kamala and Booker will have him for lunch.
Yeah. I think Joe Biden will.
Yeah.
What's your sense about that? What's your sense of the black vote, Joe Biden?
Biden has the highest percentage of the black vote of anybody right now. But that's because of his Obama connection. You know, he's Obama's best bud.
Yeah, he was his wingman for all those years.
Exactly.
So do you think that Joe Biden has genuinely gotten into Donald Trump's head, or do you think it's just, like I said, a strategic thing where Donald Trump's just going after the front runner?
No, he's in Trump's head. Trump is an actor, as we know, a bad actor, but an actor. And besides pretending that he's not concerned about the polling and the fact that there are 4 or 5 Democrats who are beating him, he's losing in Texas, for an example.
Talk about that. You've said that to me. I've not seen the actual poll.
Yeah.
What was it? What poll are you citing?
Omnipeek. Yeah, the Omnipeek poll just came out yesterday.
And it was it Donald Trump against Biden alone, or was
it was Donald Trump? They polled in 17 states, and Biden overall was 13 points ahead
of Trump in all the states. When you add it all together,
all the states. But in every state, of the 17, Biden beat Trump by a significant amount, and several of the other Democrats beat him too. Warren, I mean, you just go down the top ones, and they were beating him by lesser amounts, but they were beating him as well. Now, those of us who are still recoiling from what happened in 2016, we have the jitters, and we go, you can't trust the polls because they're these Trump people who are ashamed to admit that they're going to vote for Trump, but when the time comes, they will.
Yes. Yeah, that's another prevailing view of Democrats. Do you buy that?
Yeah, but not as much as you know. The thing is, lightning struck in 2016, and so now, whenever it rains, the Democrats worry about getting struck by lightning. But there's no thunder and lightning; it's just wet.
Yeah.
But they're going, oh, we got hit once, so we might get struck by lightning again. He's not going to win.
Well, Monroe, I believe that this current generation of Democrats is experiencing, in the aftermath of 2016, an equivalent of what I just described that the baby boomers experienced in 1972. Their worst nightmare occurred. Now, in 1972, it wasn't that Richard Nixon was, this is going to sound weird coming from me, was as outrageous as Donald Trump in terms of where he is on the political spectrum.
No, Nixon was a flaming liberal.
Liberal compared to Donald Trump. But it was just the decisiveness of Nixon's triumph. Again, he took every state except for Massachusetts and the District of Columbia, which is not even a state. So it was just a huge mandate for Richard Nixon, a decisive smackdown of George McGovern and the liberals. So that is what, as I said, influenced the Clintons. In the last election, Donald Trump won, even though he wasn't supposed to win by the polls, and he's such a goof.
Yeah.
And he's just,
but I don't think. Won. No, see, this is the thing is we're too focused on that. He won by 88,000 votes in 3 states out of more than 125 million votes cast. When you do the math on that, he won the presidency by 0.001 something like that. And that was because blacks didn't come out to vote, or the vote was suppressed in those states.
And you're talking about the states of Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania.
Exactly, because if blacks had come out to vote in the same numbers they did for Obama, we wouldn't be talking about Trump at all.
Well, he'd probably still be a minor presence on the political. You're absolutely correct. All right. So, do you think that trend can be reversed in this next election with somebody as centrist as Joe Biden running?
Yeah. So far, Biden is polling higher than anybody else among blacks. And the thing is, Trump has blacks as anxious to vote against him as he does white women. Suburban white women. Has
that been revealed in the polls as well?
Yeah. Well, maybe not quite as much as white women.
So it really doesn't matter who the Democrats put up.
No, right. No, the Democrats. No, this is what I believe is that we want to get rid of Trump so badly that it doesn't matter who's running among the candidates they have. But sticking with my triple I's.
Yes.
Impeach, indict, imprison.
The 3 I's. I wrote them down.
Okay.
The 3 I's: impeach, indict, imprison.
Yeah. This is what we need to be doing. This needs to be our mantra.
All right. Now, we're going to take a break. We come back. I'm going to ask you what I call the Laura Washington question. I already told you about this. Our mutual friend, Laura Washington, who's a columnist for the Chicago Sun-Times, wrote a column. I'm quoting it off the top of my head here, so I'm paraphrasing as best I can remember. Impeachment frightens me. It scares me. And she wants Trump to lose, as most people in the city of Chicago do. She's afraid of impeachment. So we have Monroe saying impeach, indict, imprison. And we have mainstream centrist Democrats like our good friend Laura Washington saying, don't impeach. We come back. We'll talk all about that with Monroe Anderson.
The Ben Joravsky Show is supported by the Northwestern Summer Writers Conference. Now in its 15th year, the 3-day conference held in Chicago features a diverse array of workshops, speakers, discussions, and readings. Learn more at sps.northwestern.edu/writers.
Hey! Playing now at Steppenwolf Theater, the world premiere of Ms. Black for President. It's inspired by the true, that's true as in it really happened, TRUE story of Joan Jett Black, America's first drag queen presidential candidate. You know who created it, D?
No.
It was created by Tony nominee Tina Landau.
Oh.
And you know who else created it?
No.
Oscar winner Terrell Alvin McCraney. You know him, Moonlight.
Oh, yeah.
For tickets, visit steppenwolf.org. That's Steppenwolf, like the rock group from the 60s.
Hang tight, millennials.
Cirque du Soleil's Big Top comes back to Chicago with its latest show, Volta. Venture into a captivating voyage of discovery inspired by the adventurous spirit of freedom, where a surge of action sparks a high-voltage journey. Volta. Playing May 18th through July 6th under the Big Top at Soldier Field. Tickets at CirqueDuSoleil.com. Volta thanks their partners Hennessy Black and Champagne Nicolas Fayette.
Hey, everybody, what you're about to hear are the piano stylings of Jeff Manuel. Man, listen to Jeff go. Jeff Manuel has been playing piano around Chicago for years. He's played for conventions, for celebrities, played in basement bars with blues bands. He's played at prestigious social clubs, fine restaurants, and in the intimacy of private homes. Book Jeff Manuel at jeffemanuelpianist.com. Don't worry, I'll spell his name at the end of this commercial. You know what Chicago Magazine said? They said that Jeff Manuel is, quote, as comfortable with Chopin as he is with Cole Porter. He's excellent and his performance is joyous. He offers an elegant stream of compositions and interpretations that entertains the mind but won't hurt the ears. To hear more of Jeff Manuel's work and to book Jeff for your next event, go to jeffmanuelpianist.com. I'm going to spell it out for you, people. J-E-F-F. M as in Mary, A, N as in Nancy, UELPIANIST.com. Take it away, Jeff Manuel.
Take a chill pill, man.
All right, hour number 2 of your Ben Joravsky Show for Wednesday, June 12th is just moments away. But before we get into that, we would like to thank the following unions once again for jumping on board and helping bring back the Ben Joravsky Show. First up, it's the International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers, Local 126 in District 8, the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 9, and the International Union of Operating Engineers, Local 150. A giant thank you to those unions for jumping on board and helping bring back the Ben Joravsky Show. And, of course, today's program is brought to you by our good friends at the Chicago Federation of Labor. Hour number 2, let's go. It is Wednesday, June 12th, and live from the Chicago Sun-Times Chicago Reader Studio on Racine Avenue, this is the Ben Joravsky Show. In this hour of the program, we still got Monroe Anderson in studio, and it's former state senator and host of the Ricky Hendon Show, Ricky Hendon. And now your host, Chicago Reader columnist, Ben Joravsky.
Yes, indeed, Ricky Hendon's on his way. Monroe Anderson's in the studio. We're talking Trump, and Trump. Got a question about impeachment all lined up. But before we get to that, D, what do you got for me, young man?
A few things here. First up, let's read just a few more of your suggestions here. A lot of people weighed in on social media, and I have a feeling these people are waiting to hear their suggestions. So let's read more of your suggestions here for the Obama Center. Once again, it's official. The Obama Center is going to Jackson Park, all right? The lawsuits got thrown out. Unless someone else comes in and tries to intercept that, looks like it's going to Jackson Park. But we went to both Facebook and Twitter pages to ask you, if you could pick anywhere in this giant city of ours, where would you put the Obama Center? So far, what was the most popular response that people are saying?
Michael Reese Hospital.
Michael Reese Hospital.
Roughly 35th and or 31st Street and the Lake.
Okay, James weighs in. This is on Facebook here. Head over to Facebook at Benny J Show and leave your suggestion as well. James says Garfield Boulevard and King Drive. Vacant land there except for a gas station. The neighborhood has potential but needs a boost. It's near the UFC and across the street from, but not in Indiana, Washington Park. But best of all, it's next to an L stop. If they want people to visit this thing, it has to be by an L stop.
Well, that makes sense. So in other words, it's in the same general area. It would benefit the south side, but the land is vacant, and it's not parkland. That makes sense, but this being Chicago, we're not going to do things that make sense.
Yeah, it makes too much sense. What are we talking about?
That's a good idea.
Kathy weighs in, says, the Thompson Center. They're going to raise it anyway. I'm sure Big Jim wouldn't mind.
Wow, now there. I hadn't thought of that.
It's not enough land.
It's not enough land?
No, it's not enough land.
Well, if make it a skyscraper.
Right.
By the way, did you see what it looks like on the front page of the Sun-Times? There it is. What is it? Well, how would you describe this?
What's that? The Thompson Center looks like a...
No, that's not the time. That's the...
the Obama Center.
Star Warsy.
It looks like a Glade plug-in. And it looks like something out of Beetlejuice.
Yeah. It looks like something from Tattoon or something.
Yeah.
It's like that in Star Wars.
How about Vince Carter? He waited. No, not the basketball player, Vince Carter.
But probably Vince Carter, the coach. My old friend Vince Carter, VC, proud joy of Von Steuben High School. What do you have to say?
He says, no concern about the South Side before. Now everyone's an expert. I'm glad the judge threw out this useless lawsuit.
Oh, Vince Carter weighs in. Judge Vince Carter, Coach Carter weighs in.
And we'll do one more from Marguerite. We'll try to read more of these throughout today's show. Marguerite says, why do we need presidential libraries in the first place? Can't papers and the like be part of one library like the Smithsonian? In an era of catastrophic climate change, the first question has to be what will have the best result environmentally, in this case using existing resources or least impact. So aside from giving Obamas their due and respect to their legacy, answer would have to be on existing space near transit, most green and efficient design.
I agree with everything she said at the end of that. As I understand it, most of the collection is going to be digitized, so it's not even going to be paper itself.
But I have the perfect location. I just thought about it.
What's that?
Lincoln Yards.
Yeah, go ahead.
Put it say, wipe out kill the high rises, all that other stuff. Put the Obama Library on the Chicago River in Lincoln Yards.
Man, just elect this man mayor right now.
People put Lincoln Yards on their suggestions as well. Head over to the Ben Joravsky Show Facebook or Twitter pages. If you haven't heard a suggestion, maybe the one that you would like, head over to the Facebook page at Benny J Show, Twitter page at Benny J Show. We'll read your suggestions throughout the week if they keep coming. Now I got to ask Monroe Anderson about this. You as well, Ben. 2020 presidential candidate update yesterday while in Iowa. Vice President Joe Biden. Well, he made a bold promise.
A lot of you understand that what loss is, and when loss occurs, that people come up to you and tell you, I understand if you lose a husband, a wife, a son, a daughter, a family member, and lots of times you feel like saying, they say, I know how you feel, and if they hadn't, you look at them, they mean well, but you say, you have no idea how I feel. But when it happens to you, That's why I've worked so hard in my career to make sure that I promise you, if I'm elected president, you're going to see the single most important thing that changes America is we're going to cure cancer. You think
Cure cancer.
Cure cancer. Wow. What you think of that, Monroe?
I think that wanting to cure cancer is a noble pursuit versus someone who's trying to prevent cancer, prevent people who have cancer from getting cured.
Yeah.
As in the current president.
Yeah.
He's been killing Obamacare.
Yeah.
Strangling Obamacare.
Absolutely. I hadn't thought of that one. I got to say, the notion of dedicating yourself to a goal that would help so many people, I like that. I like that idea. Just something like going way, way back, and I don't think there's anybody in this building old enough to remember this, except for maybe Monroe Anderson. John Kennedy, when he came in 1961, put a man on the moon, right. And then 8 years later, there was a man on the moon.
Right.
And so the notion of to find a cure for cancer is a great goal.
Yes.
And it would, who better than the government to put all the resources together sort of under one roof and just focus the best minds of America on it?
Exactly. And we're close enough. I mean, the thing is, cancer is not one thing. It's a bunch of different diseases, hitting a bunch of different parts of the body. But we're close enough with modern technology where it's not folly to say you like to do that. With 5G, Verizon, I think it is, has this commercial. With 5G, they can look at the cancer through technology and get very specific to where it is and cut it out instead of just taking out big lumps of things. They can do it a lot quicker. And then there's also, they have various elements, scientific elements, where they find the cancer and they shoot it, shoot something in the body that goes to that part of the body and kills the cancer.
Well, I think I think you're probably right that we're closer to at least limiting the different kinds of cancers than we probably realize. But I also think that what Joe Biden is doing is again, it's a contrast to Trump. He's thinking of a goal that absolutely everyone, even Republicans, could get united behind. You know what I'm saying? Donald Trump
almost everybody has someone who's been touched by cancer.
Yeah.
They either know them or their family members, or they have it themselves.
Yeah. So he's looking for some goal, some project, some commitment that everybody could get behind, that nobody could conceivably possibly oppose. Although I guarantee you,
there will be Stephanie Trussell, this right-wing black woman who has her own radio show on WLS. I was on there last weekend, I think, or weekend before. Anyway, on Facebook, she sort of scoffed at it. It's like, ha ha ha. Biden is saying he's going to cure cancer. Like it's a joke. But that when Kennedy talked about going to the moon, people didn't take that seriously at the time.
Well, it's interesting to mock the notion of curing cancer. Now, did you notice how he said it? I don't know if you were listening to the way when I was listening to Joe Biden there, I was thinking about what you just said. He has a way of appealing to people,
right?
And I was listening. He also is very, how do I put it, in contrast to Trump, he's very deliberate.
Right.
And this is what Trump makes fun of him. He calls him Sleepy Joe. He's tired.
Right.
He doesn't speak with great. It's almost as though like Joe Biden is always trying to convince you that he's speaking impromptu from his heart.
Yeah.
And so that gets him to slow down and measure.
Yeah, no, I had this because I saw Kellyanne on TV this morning lying.
Kellyanne Conway.
Yeah, Kellyanne Conway.
Yeah.
She was lying. And I was telling Joyce that Kellyanne Conway is Trump's rapid-fire liar, whereas Sandra Saunders, God, what's her first name? It's press secretary. Sarah Saunders is his slow-mo liar. And Trump is a liar at all speeds.
Joe Biden is a great contrast because he's got that deliberate style.
Yeah, right. No, that's what I'm talking about with styles. Yeah. And for the most part, he tells the truth.
Joe Biden.
Joe Biden tells the truth. Now it's an occupational hazard. For politicians to always tell the truth, so they have to.
Well, I think Joe Biden is the type of politician that can shade the truth or shave off the truth, or just he's. Dennis and I used to talk about this all the time. We would listen to responses that politicians would make to direct questions, and watch how they kind of just avoid the question.
Oh, it's called bridging.
Bridging, yeah,
right, where you sort of answer the question, but then you move on and talk about what you want to talk about.
Well, I was just going to say, it seemed like that statement was a good statement, but that was like, it should have been like the beginning. It should have been, I'm going to cure cancer, which is why I have like a national health care plan. You know what I mean? How are you going to pay for it?
Well,
it just seems, I'm going to cure cancer. Bye.
Yeah.
Well, Trump has jumped the deficit up to so many $1 trillion now. I mean, it's a record amount of debt.
By the way, did he say, he did not say, quote, I'm going to cure cancer, right? Let's play that back just to make sure.
Time.
I think he did say he was going to cure cancer.
Yeah, I think he did.
He actually said, Joe Biden, am going to cure cancer.
Like I said, which is a good setup, but how, and it seems like that'd be a good way to talk about a health plan.
A lot of you understand that I feel.
Fast forward.
But when it happens to you, that's why I've worked so hard in my career to make sure that I promise you, if I'm elected president, you're going to see the single most important thing that changes in America is we're going to cure cancer.
Okay.
We're gonna cure.
Oh, and you know that Obama put him in charge of curing cancer before the last couple of years in their term.
But see, that's why the pronoun was so important. Instead of, Donald Trump would have said, "I'm going to do this.
Right.
I'm the person." And Joe Biden is trying to make a different appeal. He's trying to say, "We're all in this together, so we together."
Well, see, Trump is the cancer, so he's not cured.
The metaphorical cancer.
No collusion.
No collusion, indeed. The specifics, Dennis, is absolutely correct. They're nowhere near to be found. And again, we'll go back to this. I got my whole list here, my cheat sheet of Elizabeth Warren proposals and policies. Again, people in this country, it's not strategically, it's not always considered a good idea for politicians to get detailed with how they're going to pay for things, what they're going to do exactly.
But it's working for her. It's working. She's moved up in the polls dramatically.
Well, we'll see.
And it's working because she has this, I have a plan for that.
No,
considering that Trump has no plan for anything except enriching himself and his family and his buds, then that's a refreshing idea.
All right. Now, before we go to Elizabeth Warren and her plan, let's get to what I call the Laura Washington quote. Laura Washington, our good friend, the columnist for the Chicago Sun-Times, said she was afraid of impeachment. She's speaking as a person who wants the Democrats to win. And this ties into the notion that if the Democrats push too fast, too hard on impeachment, Monroe Anderson, they'll just play to Donald Trump's hand, and that will turn middle America against the Democrats. This is the theory, because they will look too political. And so middle America will go to a guy who is way political.
Right. Now, that's a very silly concept. And a lot of Democrats, nothing against our friend Laura, but a lot of Democrats have that fear. And first of all, we should have started the impeachment inquiry a month ago. Mm-hmm. After the Mueller report came out, we should have started it then. But feet have been dragged, hands have been wrung. But it's time to act, because what we do is you put these witnesses, fact witnesses, not people like John Dean, who's a historical witness, but you bring in the fact witnesses and you let them tell the story. And while only 3% of Americans have read the Mueller report, many, many, many more will watch the TV investigations about it, and they will learn the facts. When Democrats in Congress talk about how when they're out on the campaign trail, nobody brings up impeachment. They bring up the bread and butter issues. Mm-hmm. That's because they don't know enough about it to bring it up. If they're seeing it on TV and all the atrocious things Trump has done day in and day out, they will be bringing up impeachment.
All right, now let me play devil's advocate with you.
Okay. One other thing, though. Lawrence Tribe, who is a Harvard law professor, who taught both Obama and Roberts, Chief Justice Roberts, he says that the Democrats should impeach Trump, bring it up, the House, and impeach him, and then don't even talk about giving it to the Senate, but let it stand. He says the House is a body in and of its own, a power, and so it can impeach him as in an indictment, and then let Trump run on the fact that the House impeached him and see how well that serves him.
Wow, I hadn't even thought of that one. In other words, by the way, Ricky Hendon has joined us, the great Ricky Hendon.
Who?
Who?
Hollywood. Monroe, what's up, man?
What's going on?
I know you know damn well you voted for Trump. No, you and Ben voted for Trump. Only one didn't vote for Trump in this studio is me and Dennis and Leah. You
know? Well, then at least you won 3-2.
You're not really progressive, man. You know that.
Well, I know I'm not progressive because I got fired by the progressive radio radio station.
How we get there?
He's still working.
How we get there? Wait a minute. Don't throw me under the bus.
I mean, I must not be progressive.
If you bring it, you got to be able to take it.
Yeah.
Listen, everybody still love you.
Yeah, I know that. And I love 90% of the people that work there, including Ricky Hendon, who I will now promote his show every Saturday at 4 o'clock right there on WCP. You are fired. That's the call letters.
You're a big man, Ben.
It's a great show, and I love it.
Hey, do we get to do Joravsky Theater today? I'd like to screw up some of your scripts. You know what I mean?
Yeah, okay. We're not going to do Ben Joravsky Theater.
Why am I here?
All right. Let's just get you in on this conversation before we go to break and change the topic here. But the topic we were discussing when you came in, there was a column written in the Sun-Times about a week ago by our good friend Laura Washington. And in that column, she said that she is afraid, I'm doing paraphrasing here, Ricky, I don't have the column in front of me, of impeachment. As a Democrat, she's afraid of it. She's concerned that an impeachment movement by the Democrats right now would play into Trump's hand and would lead to him getting reelected because it would fire up his supporters and turn off middle America, the part of the voting population that could go Democrat or Republican. Independents, that's what we call them, I suppose. So what is your general thought when you hear that?
Well, I have two trains of thought. Monroe will appreciate this. As a former Democratic Ward committeeman, I want to run against Trump. I want to run against Trump. I don't give a damn what nobody say. We can beat Donald Trump. Donald Duck could beat Donald Trump. Monroe Anderson could beat.
Sure could.
Beat his ass. I mean, just, you know what I mean? So why impeach the guy and get him out of there, say you're successful, and then you got to run against Pence? Think about it.
Monroe Anderson could beat.
Yeah. Well, by the way, they would not be.
I think Pence would be tougher than Donald Trump. I really do.
The reason Pence is vice president is because he wasn't going to get reelected governor of Indiana. And
perhaps you're right, but you know, a prophet is not honored in their own home. He might have lost in Indiana, but I think Pence is tougher than Trump. I think anybody in the Republican Party would be tougher than Trump because the diehard Democrats actually truly hate this man. I mean, truly hate this man. The African American community cannot stand Donald Trump. You know, I mean, I was just joking about Monroe earlier. We know you and Monroe, neither one of you voted for Trump. Lord knows you probably voted for Hillary or Bernie, but I voted for Willie Wilson. But I'm just saying, I would rather run.
He did run for president.
But he wasn't on the ballot, was he?
Yeah, he was on the ballot in Illinois. He was on the ballot in about 12 states. The DNC screwed us.
No,
like
but
they did.
You're talking about in the primary.
In the primary.
Yeah,
right. You know, you got to get to the primary. You got to take them to a date before you can get them in the bed.
Yeah, I was like, did I miss something? Did Willie Wilson make the ballot?
Got to bring him up to speed. Yeah. No, but as a Democratic committeeman, I'd rather run against Trump. Okay, if you impeach him, Laura's right, Monroe's right. You give him a platform. You fire up the crazy white people who just don't understand anything.
That's Laura's position, not mine. Mine is impeach him. The House can impeach him, and then don't. This is Lawrence Tribe's
theory.
Yeah,
the House can impeach him.
And then you lose in the Senate?
You don't take it to the Senate at all. You just leave it there. He's
just let it sit there.
Yeah,
okay, I got it.
Run on that.
Right, but you never, you don't want him off the ballot. Right. You really don't.
No, you're not going to get him off the ballot.
Right.
Let's be honest.
If he's impeached, he's gone.
Well, no, if you impeach him, you've essentially indicted him, and then the Senate would have a trial if they go that way.
Yeah, but
and there's no way the Senate is going to vote to remove him from office.
It all depends. I mean, remember now, I was on the inside. You know, I helped impeach and send, Rod Blagojevich packing.
You were a state
senator. And I liked Rod. Yeah.
I forgot that. You were a state senator.
Yeah.
I remember
and I liked Rod a lot.
Yeah.
And there were about 12 counts. And on 3 or 4 of the counts, I voted no. Now, on the final count to, send him out of office, I voted yes. But a couple of things were in there that was wrong. One of the charges against him was getting medicine from Canada, and the Democratic caucus has asked him to get medicine from Canada because it was much cheaper than the medicine we were buying for Illinois residents and from American companies. So I couldn't impeach him on that. I couldn't vote to impeach on that. And about 4 of us voted no. But all of us voted yes in the end. If Trump continues with this crazy thing with Mexico and it blows up in his face, you know, and the Republicans start looking at those poll numbers, and he gets a challenger in the primary that they can get behind, they might impeach him. Either way, I think he would take advantage of that. And Monroe's right. If you impeach in the House, it still got to go to the Senate. It may not go anywhere, but he'd be running with that baggage around his neck. So I like that too. If I was a congressman, I would vote to impeach. I asked my congressman, Danny K. Davis, the other day, what was going to go down. Danny was like, Rick, it ain't going to happen. You know, it's just not going to happen. Nancy Pelosi's in the paper today saying, hella no chance. You know what I'm saying? They're not even close. And I think she's doing it for political reasons. Even the Mueller report, which I've been very critical of him, may have had a political slant on it. You got the whole damn book.
I got them right here.
You got the book. Okay.
Here you go. It's like a phone book, man.
Yeah. You are on the west side, so don't look away. I might swipe that bad boy.
I'll buy you one as a sign of appreciation for all the times you come on my show over the years. I will buy you your own Mueller report.
You heard that right,
I
Dennis?
will definitely do that. Absolutely.
I want an autographed copy, even though you didn't write it.
I didn't write it.
Because I wouldn't even be on the station that you got fired from if you didn't bring me on there.
In the first place. For it. Going back to the notion that somehow or other you fire up the base and lose the independents, Ricky Hendon, this I do not understand. Democrats who say this, and Republicans say this as well. You've been in politics for a long time. Mm-hmm. The notion is no matter how far the Republicans go to the right, Democrats are not supposed to counter by moving to the left, by accentuating their worldview, the taking stances that would appeal to their base, because that would offend the middle. So my question always is, why is the middle in this worldview, Ricky, only offended when Democrats move to the left, but they don't get offended when Republicans move to the right? I
disagree with you. I believe that they do get offended. I think that, and I'm a Democrat. Everybody know that I was Democratic committeeman, Democratic alderman. Well, no, alderman's nonpartisan. Democratic state committeeman. But the Democratic Party has failed its base. When you have black turnout in Chicago at 15%, 15%, that means 85% of Monroe's cousins stayed home. Something, you got to look at that. Yeah. You got to say, why black people? And remember, Chicago is the epicenter, I believe, of Democratic politics. Yes. And black people voted 95% for Barack Obama, and the turnout was 95%. Now it's 15%, Ben.
Yeah.
With Lori Lightfoot and Tony Preckwinkle on the ballot for mayor, two black women, history is about to be made.
Yeah.
Turnout of my people was 15%. When I went to vote, they tried to keep me in there longer. They were like, stick around, have a seat.
Yeah.
There's nobody freaking in there.
Yeah.
When Barack ran, I stood in line 3 hours easy. 3 hours, first time. Second time it went down a little bit. I was there 2 hours. You know, and that for Hillary.
This is day of voting? Was that long a line?
Yeah, absolutely. I like voting day of.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Because I'm in the business. I want to see the lines. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do the same.
And listen, no damn body, nobody. I could have did somersaults, flips, made some pancakes, chicken and eggs, bacon and fries up in that bad boy, and the judges didn't care because nobody was in there. I had to.
So something.
I had to leave.
No, but you're talking about. I understand exactly what you're saying.
But to your question, to your point, I believe smart politics says you solidify your base, but you make sure you move to the middle. The Democrats need to move to the middle, especially when your base isn't voting. They've pissed off black
So wait,
folk.
should the Democrats move, in your humble opinion, move to the middle now, or should they solidify their base now
They
then
need to move
the
to the middle now, and they need to do a serious effort for registration and all of that in the black community. The one reason they don't do it is because the higher ups who are running for higher office in the Democratic primary don't want black voters registered. They don't want black voters in Chicago. Rahm ran black voters out of Chicago. Joe Barrios helped as assessor overtaxing black people's houses. And then people like Preckwinkle defended Joe Barrios. So the black community is just like, I'm throwing up here. I want to regurgitate.
Yeah.
So you have to do both.
Yeah, see, and I don't completely agree. I
Go
think
ahead.
that the problem has been that the Democrats haven't had enough people to excite their voters. Obama did it, and that's why they were in line. Harold Washington did it. I mean, there are when you get the black voters excited,
they'll
they
come
show
out.
Up, they come out, and so you need to be what would be considered to the left in the party, because whenever you deal with racial issues, then you're really being radical, But right now, there's some discussion of reparations. Now, it's not a serious discussion now, but this is the first time I can remember where the word even came into play during an election year.
Well, you talk about going to the center, and I'd love to hear Ricky Hendon's thoughts on this. A Democratic presidential candidate advocating reparations for black people for slavery. Do you think that would turn off the quote-unquote independent? We're really talking about white voters.
It would turn
that centrist white group, like, oh my God, why are they even talking about that?
It will turn off some, and it's going to sound weird, but it's going to turn off some black folks too. You want to know why it'll turn off the black people? Because we don't believe that shit. We don't believe it. We don't. Black people, listen, and I'm West Side, right? They don't believe nothing the Democrats have to say right now. Nothing. And Monroe has a great point, but I just want to point to him that black turnout in Barack's second term went down 20-something%.
Oh, he's right.
Yeah.
And it's consistently gone down since, because our people feel like nobody cares, nobody, black politicians, and you might have Kamala Harris or the other one, they just don't care right now. And Monroe is right, they need somebody that's going to excite them, but more importantly to that, they need somebody that can believe, and they don't believe nobody right now. I've had people tell me, and I wouldn't lie for nothing in the world, they'll never vote again unless I run. People have said that to me. I get it all the time.
For president or
for anything. Yeah. They're like, if you run for dog catcher, I'll come out. Because use mine, you know what? Yeah. I can't use that word on your show.
Well, you can use any word. It's a podcast, man. Right. You already broke one rule.
Ricky is a power on the West Side. That's for sure. I mean, when I was Sawyer's press secretary, we were having discussions on what we should be doing to get Sawyer elected. Ricky's name came up. Well, what are we gonna do about Ricky? We gotta have Ricky with us.
Well, I don't want to go
took
back.
The 2 bites of the apple.
Yeah, listen, guys.
That's an inside joke. That's a black joke.
Yeah, the two.
Catch up with it.
That split.
Tim
that
Evans, Sawyer,
about,
2 bites of the apple. We got 2 bites and stomach ache.
Yeah, and that I could go back. The confusion, dysfunction, split between the black political factions.
Evans people didn't support Sawyer, so then when the second bite came around, the Sawyer people didn't support Evans.
Yeah, and it took how many years before a black person got elected mayor of the city of Chicago as a result of that? And also is that divide between the West Side.
And they didn't get elected on the black vote. Lori Lightfoot didn't win any black wards
in that first go around.
Think about it.
And I can't remember.
I mean, in the runoff against Preckwinkle, Leah could have beat Preckwinkle. All she had to say is no sugar tax. That's it. Yeah. Me and Dennis would have. You know what I mean? But I think it's important to point out, Monroe, that yes, we have a black mayor, but she won on the north side. She won all the wards on the lakeshore, lakefront. A couple other black people won up north, but it was a LGBTQ victory, and we need to be very, very clear about that as students of politics.
Yeah, but you're talking about the first round.
The first round.
Because in the second round, she won everywhere in the city of Chicago.
Like I said, who fired you from WCPD? They could have beat.
Yeah, they could have.
When you voted, you're being the only voter.
Who would I have? Who would I vote in that case? Oh, that's not a tough one, Ricky Hendon. That's Ricky Hendon, Monroe Anderson. I'm Ben Joravsky. Take a break. Be right back.
Cirque du Soleil's Big Top comes back to Chicago with its latest show, Volta. Venture into a captivating voyage of discovery inspired by the adventurous spirit of freedom, where a surge of action sparks a high-voltage journey. Volta. Playing May 18th through July 6th under the Big Top at Soldier Field. Tickets at CirqueDuSoleil.com. Volta thanks their partners Hennessy Black and Champagne Nicolas Fayette.
Read the Chicago Reader to get up to speed on what's what in Chicago. Culture, food, arts and entertainment, weekly concert listings, weekly event listings, the environment, travel. I can continue, but you get the point. And for all of you Chicago political junkies, raw weekly columns on real city politics from Maya Dukmasova and our very own Ben Joravsky. The Chicago Reader, free to the public in newsstands throughout the city and online at chicagoreader.com. Read it now and be a more informed Chicagoan.
I just saw that Nancy Pelosi, just before our meeting, made a statement that we believe that the President of the United States is engaged in a cover-up. Well, it turns out I'm the most, and I think most of you would agree to this, I'm the most transparent president probably in the history of this country.
Today's Ben Joravsky Show is brought to you in part by Green Element Resale. It's located at 6241 North Broadway in Chicago, guys. And hey, guess it's a badass, okay? Furniture, appliances, lamps, books, clothes, electronics. It's a thrift shop, but it's the only thrift shop in Chicago that helps bring you the Ben Joravsky Show. So if you're ever on Broadway between Granville and Devon, tell them thank you and go check out Green Element Resale, 6241 North Broadway, and find more information at greenelementresale.com. Like I said, go in there, tell them thank you for supporting the Ben Joravsky Show. Find a few items, and who knows, maybe you will save yourself a lot of money. Welcome back to the Ben Joravsky Show, live from the Chicago Sun-Times.
We are live from the Chicago Sun-Times. Ricky Hendon, host of the Ricky Hendon Show on WCP.
You stupid. That's why I have to always come do your show, man.
I can say it, Ricky. I can say it. Anyway.
At the risk of being fired from CPT, I got to do your show.
Yes, and Monroe Anderson is in the studio. We're talking Trump. We're going to talk some local politics as well. Do you got an update before I go back to Ricky?
My update was just a question. Ricky, how's it going, man? Nice seeing you. We've been asking people all this week on the Facebook and Twitter page. If anywhere in the city, this big giant city, you could put the Obama Center, where would you put it, Ricky Hendon?
I would put it in Inglewood. And I would put it in Inglewood because they need a lot more than the Jackson Park area needs. They'd get a lot less pushback from the residents. That's where I would put it. I fought against it coming to the west side. I fought West Siders who were demanding that it come to the west side. I'm like, keep it real. Barack came from the south side. The library should be on the south side. But it doesn't have to be where they chose.
Yeah, we were on the opposite side of that one. I completely was with the West Siders. And remember, it wasn't just West Siders. You had to have a university sponsor of some sort. So the South Side was sponsored with the University of Chicago, and the West Side was sponsored by the UIC. Back in my day, we used to call it Circle Campus. And they had a site over at, I think it was Costner and Roosevelt Road.
I know the site very well. Yeah. It was in my district when I was senator, and there used to be the big dump there where they dumped all the garbage and everything.
Christopher, yeah. And John Christopher was dumping the fat. I wanted to go there.
The ground is horrible. Up under the, I mean, just for your listeners,
that's what Monroe
you need to know that ground is polluted for 10,000 years unless they dig all the way down to hell and get everything that they dumped over there for 800 years. When I was senator, the dumpers tried to get me to go along with them. I was like, you must be out your mind. I'm trying to get rid of garbage, not bring in more garbage. And they had paid every politician before me, to allow them to dump. Me and Reverend Jesse Jackson, I'll never forget, standing on top of the dump. And I was like, I ain't gonna stand on top of this dump too long. You know what I mean? I want to be here for a while. So that was a bad location. And in black politics, if they ever name something after Ricky Hendon, it should be on the west side. It should be on the west side. I'm west side. If Danny Davis, it should be on the west side. It's just Barack Obama should be on the south side.
So if they wanted to build the Ricky Hendon Center on the Mercy Hospital site, you would fight it?
Not unless I get 10%.
Michael Reese side. Yeah.
I wouldn't fight it, but I mean, politically, politics says, you know, West Side.
Yeah,
and
no,
we've been
I
fighting
agree.
this fight. I mean, I'm going to get it. I'm going to slide a little bit here. Chief Justice Ann Burke, who I helped get in there, just appointed a white woman in a black West Side seat for a judge that was created for black judges from the West Side.
Tom Dart's assistant.
Yeah, and we did the sub circuits because if it was left to the South Side, we wouldn't have no black judges on the West Side. So you got to be very real about regional politics. And I'm going to work very hard against that young lady who got appointed, whether she's qualified or not, because they would have never done that to the Puerto Rican community. They would have never done it in the Mexican community. Can you imagine a Mexican judge leaving and they put a black in that spot? Nobody would eat tacos for a month.
And
they wouldn't allow it.
So, all right, let's go back. I disagree with you, by the way. First of all, Barack Obama's not even from Chicago. He's from Hawaii.
Built in Hawaii, then.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Okay.
Nah, you know that'll never fly. That'll never fly.
His wife is.
And he cut his bones here in Chicago.
Right, his wife is. So they should call it the Michelle Robinson Library.
I'd support Michelle's anything, anywhere.
Anyway, so yeah. Well, listen, I lost. You won. They picked the South Side. I just think it's, of all the sites on the South Side, to put it in a park.
Yeah, I think that was bad. And one time they were talking about putting it in Washington Park. I'm like, listen, I mean, Washington Park is ridiculous. You have 400 or 500 black guys out there every Sunday and Saturdays playing softball, picnicking with their families. You know, no place else in America do you have that. And these are gangbangers, ex-gangbangers, every thug you can name. No problems. Ain't no vice lord disciple. Ain't no out there you're a ball player.
Yeah.
And you got guys in different gangs playing on the same team. How are you going to break that up?
Yeah, no, you and I see eye to eye on that one.
Killed that one first, and then Jackson Park was okay, whatever.
Yeah, they were talked about Washington Park, and I think it was the Obamas in conjunction with the University of Chicago said they prefer to put it in a park because somehow or other it's more prestigious to have a center in a park that's close to the lake. I just think it's short-sighted, Ricky Hendon, to take parkland.
Absolutely.
And put a building there.
Wherever it is, it's going to be prestigious. Wherever it is, it's going to bring economic development. The damn thing should be put in Inglewood, where it's needed. And if it was put on the West Side, I could think of some places on the West Side, 24th Ward, you know, Monroe, 16th Street, places that are devastated for 20, 30, 40, since the riots have never been redone, where it should go.
Yeah.
Could have went.
Well, the powers that be in this town wanted it in a park.
My thinking on this is that something as prestigious as that in Chicago should be near the lake where you can actually see the lake, Michigan.
Well, now we're getting into that lake thing.
Yeah.
What about economic development, Monroe? I think that's much more important than this.
Except the library is not going to do much. You know,
but the ancillary business is that it would create around the library. It could create around the library.
What happens with these presidential libraries is they get built and they're a big deal for a year or two.
Okay.
Then they're nothing. I mean, scholars go see them.
Well, then if you want it on the lake, you go further south. There's sites along the lake where the steel mills they closed up. There's a lot of vacant land.
I say put it in a depressed kind of site. That's all I'm saying.
I'm with Ricky 100%.
The steel mill site, U.S. Steel site would be ideal.
That would much better than putting it in Jackson Park.
You got to travel for half an hour to get to it or something like that.
All right.
Yeah, that's true.
I want to get back to something, Ricky, that I was talking about before we went to break, and that is whether the games that the Republicans play to try to force Democrats on a defensive. Now, there was a column, I'm going to read to you bits and pieces of this column that was in the Tribune today, written by a gentleman who was a conservative former speechwriter for George Bush, and he's he's blasting Joe Biden, because Joe Biden flipped on the issue of Medicaid abortion, Medicaid-funded abortion. Biden, his whole life, had been against having the federal government pay for abortions by poor women. The Hyde Amendment, we supported the Hyde Amendment,
right,
prohibited that. And then under pressure from Democrats as he's running for president, he flipped and he said, I would be now against the Hyde Amendment, all right? Now, if you believe in abortion, you believe in abortion. If you don't have the Hyde Amendment, then it's only abortion for well-to-do women. Let's be honest, Ricky. This gentleman, Mark Thiessen, I think his name is, blast him, and he writes, Biden's flip-flop will hurt him with the one group he claims he can win back for Democratic voters. Democrats, working-class voters who cast their ballots twice for him and President Barack Obama, but switched to Donald Trump in 2016. These once reliable Democratic voters are more socially conservative than the liberal elites. Abortion radicalism doesn't appeal to them. Now, Ricky, my question to you is, it's abortion radicalism, I got that in quotes, when a Democrat says he or she believes in using federal funds, Medicaid funds, so low-income women can get abortion too. But it's not abortion radicalism when a bunch of Republicans in the state of Alabama say that a doctor will go to jail for 99 years if he performs an abortion, that a man can rape a woman and she has to be forced.
Ridiculous.
So, Ricky, why is it abortion extremism when it's something that Democrats want, but it's not abortion extremism when it's something Republicans in Alabama want?
It's all spin doctor stuff. You know, with Joe Biden, my only issue with him is the question of age.
Yeah, you've been saying that.
It's just a question of age. And I'm one of those who, you know, I left the Senate still young and spry. Hello. And I don't think you got to die in office. I've seen too many of that. I mean, I've seen too many of my friends die in office. I mean, you just leave. You know, you might live longer, you know, because it's a very stressful office.
Yeah.
And then you got Trump running around calling him Sleepy Joe and all this and that. Listen, if the man pivoted, changed his position on abortion on the issue, he just said, hey, I grew up. I changed my mind. I changed my position.
Yeah.
It's okay. But if his spin doctors don't spin it right, that's on them. That's on Biden's people. If I was there, me and Monroe would have told Joe exactly what to say. Now, whether he either said it or not, because, you know, we've had clients who don't say what we've
exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
So how do you spin it? How do you
may have?
How do you spin supporting federal?
Well, no, the problem with it was that yesterday he said he was still in favor of the Hyde
Amendment.
Amendment. Yeah. And then
the very next day,
he says
he flipped.
He's against it.
Yeah.
You needed a few days in between. Where,
by the way,
or if you don't have time for the few days, because sometimes you don't, you say, you know what, I fell asleep last night. And in a dream,
right? The Lord
came to me in a dream, and I woke up and I looked at it. And if you want to appeal to the right, he said, I picked up the word, I picked up the Bible, and I turned it. The book just fell open, and I read, and you know what? I was wrong. And times changed, the world has changed. This is where I am now. Bam. Move on to something else.
I'm completely. I don't see
people
why.
blew
Yeah.
it, to me.
Yeah.
They didn't have a Monroe or Ricky or Ben Joravsky who said, look, dude.
Well, I don't know if I'd be putting
you
such
wouldn't.
august company, but dude, you got that tape we played yesterday of Trump? I gotta get Ricky and Monroe's response to this. All right, this is a tape that we played yesterday, and this is the man that the American people decided to elect as their president. Ricky Hendon, okay?
In rare form,
actually 25% of the American people. That's all the vote he got.
All right, if you include all the people who
12% of the American people, because there's another half of that number that ain't even registered in vote.
Valid point. All right, we reduced it. Well, even so, even 12%.
And then 5% based on what the Russians stole, and Republicans still too, you know.
All right, well, let's just put it this way. This is the man who is now the president of the United States.
He talks immigration, Pelosi, and Biden.
Mexico, we're getting along with them great. Marcelo and the president and all of it, we're getting along great. They've started a very strong action. They're moving right now 6,000 soldiers to their southern border. Who ever heard of that? You think we had that 2 weeks ago? 2 weeks ago, I'll tell you what we had. We had nothing. Now, look, Nancy is a mess. The Democratic Party is a mess. They're doing everything they can to win the election in 2020. They are guilty of many crimes, many crimes, what they've done. They're guilty of many crimes. And hopefully, in a short period of time, that'll be seen. They should never have done what they've done. And all they do is waste time on these investigations where there's no obstruction, no collusion, no nothing. And in the meantime, they can't get a border deal done
they can't do anything. Joe Biden is a dummy. Joe Biden thought China was not a competitor. China made $500 billion over a short period of time against Obama, Biden, and for many, many years, in all fairness to them. China is a major competitor, and right now China wants to make a deal very badly. It's me right now that's holding up the deal.
All right. By the way, the noise in the background is one of his press conferences in front of a plane.
Oh, I thought it was zipping up his pants up and down. I thought it was just, while you're standing there talking, zip, 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 zip. I ran for real. I want to run against this guy, man. Come on, man.
He holds all his press conferences that way.
Yeah, he holds his press conferences because no one can ask a question.
Exactly.
All right. Is the man insane?
I believe that he has an issue. I think he has a serious issue. Do you remember when a couple of congressmen and maybe a U.S. senator wanted to come up with a standardized mental wellness test for presidents?
Yes.
And it didn't go anywhere. Mm-hmm. But remember, this person has their hand on the button.
Yeah.
He pushes that button. He tells the generals to kill. The generals are going to kill. He tells those planes to drop bombs. Those planes are going to drop bombs. Millions of people can lose their lives just because he woke up and couldn't have a bowel movement this morning.
Right. And if things get bad enough, he will do
He
that.
will do it.
I
am predicting, and I hate to do that because they said don't speak things in the, but you got to be real about it. I think it's going to get worse, and if they go for impeachment, we are going to war, and you cannot control war like you used to could.
In other way, wait. When you say when they say if they go to impeachment, we're going to go to war, you mean Donald Trump will wage a war to distract from the
exactly.
Wag the dog.
Wag the dog. I saw the movie. It was real. They do it all the time. He will. I mean, just think of it right now. He's attacking Mexico. He always say trade war. Yeah. The word war. Right. Trade war. Right. Trade war with Mexico. Trade war with Canada. Canada.
Yeah.
They're as white as you can get. Canada's whiter than you been, Joravsky. Come on, man. Canada's America. I mean, come on. You're in a trade war with
Mexico's America.
But not as much as Canada.
Yeah,
what I'm saying.
What I'm saying.
Canada is white other than the French.
Well, Canada even has a basketball team.
And about to win the NBA, I hope. I'm rooting for him.
I'm rooting for him, too.
North.
I'm rooting for him, too. I'm sick of the
This
Warriors.
man is crazy, man.
Yeah. No,
okay. No, this is the thing that where you have to pay attention with Trump. He projects all the time.
What do you mean by that?
Projection, that's psychology.
No, I know what projection means. But
okay, so what he did early on when Obama was president was he said, well, Obama's numbers were bad, and so Obama was going to start a war to save himself. That was a futuristic projection. But because he's talking about with Biden, he said Biden is beyond his years. He's too old.
Yeah.
He's not doesn't have, and that's actually where Trump is.
Yeah, there's only 3 years difference, Ricky.
Yeah, Trump looks older than that.
Yeah,
exactly. And
I thought Trump was older than Joe.
And if you listen to Trump's interviews 20 years ago, he was a lot more. His vocabulary was much greater, and he could string a sentence with an idea, and get to the end of it. He has trouble doing that now. As you know, I've predicted that he has early dementia.
Yeah, he's been saying this guy.
It's something is wrong there. And the thing about it, a lot of old people, they want to keep up with the younger generation. So now he's tweet. 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning. You supposed to be asleep. What are you up on? You're up on something. Remember they had the doctor, the doctor for the White House was the Dr. Feelgood.
Yeah, Dr.
He was dropping more pills, man, than they doing on Madison in California. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. Who's up at 5 o'clock in the morning tweeting?
Our president.
That's over 50.
Yeah. I agree with you.
Stop playing.
We're
in trouble, man. War with Iraq. Wait, I got to get this one. Iran.
Yeah.
Kim Jong-un is his friend and wrote him this lovely letter, and he's such a wonderful guy, while this guy's poisoning all his cousins.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Killing folk. And and executing people in front of, making the relatives watch.
Yeah.
But he's such a nice guy.
Well, no. Trump is a narcissist, and he falls for sweet talk every time, and all these foreign leaders have learned that.
Yeah,
that you just
flatter him a little bit. He's a putty in your hand.
Well, we're about to set up a military base in Poland now. He met with the president of Poland today, and we're going to have a military. And and we're going to build a fort there because the president said, well, we could name it Fort Trump.
And that's all it took.
No, exactly. By the way, Ricky, sometimes you speak truth about Trump, and it opens up things that I hadn't even thought about because the bar is so low. I've gotten so used to the craziness that comes out of his mouth that sometimes I just don't take a moment to pause and really listen to him. So like in that one particular one where he just called Joe Biden a dummy. Yeah. I mean, Fred Sanford used to call his son a dummy. Who calls in politics today?
A president.
Yeah, calls
the president.
President of the United States.
And then here's the crazy part about it, Ben. The same people that you belittle, like he does, you got to go try to cut a deal with them the next day.
Yeah.
You got to go try to cut a deal with Nancy Pelosi on infrastructure and all this other stuff. And you've just insulted the lady and just blast everybody. And then you want to think they're going to come in the room and everything's hunky-dory?
Yeah.
I mean, that was a racial slur, sir. You think everything is...
hunky-dory.
I mean, no, it's not. I'm pissed. Kiss and make up first, then maybe we could talk. He don't want even kiss and make up.
No.
Unless they give a couple of $1,000 or maybe.
Ricky Hendon, Monroe Anderson, Ben Joravsky. Take a break. When we come back, I'm going to ask Ricky Hendon a West Side question. We'll be right back.
Read the Chicago Reader to get up to speed on what's what in Chicago. Culture, food, arts and entertainment, weekly concert listings, weekly event listings, the environment, travel. I can continue, but you get the point. And for all of you Chicago political junkies, raw weekly columns on real city politics from Maya Dukmasova and our very own Ben Joravsky. The Chicago Reader, free to the public in newsstands throughout the city and online at chicagoreader.com. Read it now and be a more informed Chicagoan.
Cirque du Soleil's Big Top comes back to Chicago with its latest show, Volta. Venture into a captivating voyage of discovery inspired by the adventurous spirit of freedom, where a surge of action sparks a high-voltage journey. Volta. Playing May 18th through July 6th under the Big Top at Soldier Field. Tickets at CirqueDuSoleil.com. Volta thanks their partners Hennessy Black and Champagne Nicolas Fayette.
All right, everybody, sad news. After 5 years in Andersonville, Murray and White have made the difficult decision to close their doors. But everything right now in their store is on sale. Notable sale items, Voluspa and Nest fragrance brand candles are 20% off. They might be, because we've learned something about our host, Ben Joravsky, recently. My Lord, this guy loves candles. What is your favorite candle scent again? I keep forgetting. What is it?
Cannabis.
Cannabis candle. You light a candle to get rid of the cannabis smell, usually. But he likes the cannabis candle.
I love Ben Joravsky.
Bob Marley.
Ricky will be able to hook you up.
Ricky's going to be in the... He announced that the last time he was on the show. He's going to have
my hemp license, bro.
He sells the actual cannabis, not candles. These lines can...
Soon, I hope.
Soon. These items can rarely be found. So while 20% is the largest... discount, it's pretty good. But like I said, go to that Murray and White and make sure they have candles, because Ben Joravsky bought them all, apparently.
I got all the cannabis ones.
Oh, yeah. There are no cannabis candles. It's not a thing.
By the way, in my day, Ricky, we called it reefer. All right?
Reefer.
Oh, reefer candles.
I remember reefer.
All rugs are 30% off.
Weed.
Or weed. But Murray and White does not sell weed. They sell rugs, candles, furniture, mirrors, but not for much longer, because after 5 years in Andersonville, Murray and White have made the difficult decision to close their doors. I don't know. Maybe if we sit and talk with them, Ricky Hendon can talk with them. Maybe they'll open them back up and start selling weed. I don't know. Reefer.
Reefer.
Welcome back to the Ben Joravsky Show. Mr. Joravsky, take us home.
You know, that super cool music means we're coming in. Another super cool show. We're not done yet. Ricky Hendon and Monroe Anderson are in the studio. Let me just say something about Ricky Hendon. Not only was he a state senator, not only was he an alderman, Not only was he a committeeman, not only is he a political strategist and a talk show host and a reefer salesman, maybe if everything works out for him, but he plays a mean piano. That's Ricky Hendon on the piano, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, and also he was a filmmaker.
A filmmaker.
Yeah.
Yes.
I have a CD out right now. It's on iTunes and Amazon, Spotify, and all that. Ricky Hollywood Hendon. I'm singing.
Oh, he's a singer too. I don't know. His thing he did about the kids, these darn kids.
Badass kids. The one I have out now is Lovers and Friends and Have Some Fun. Oh my God, please have some fun.
Wait, that's a comedy or
No, it's a CD. It's music.
Okay.
So I'm multi-talented. What
multi-talented
can I say?
man. But yeah, you can't see because the poster's on it, but there's a keyboard underneath that poster. So
I can't play nothing.
That is all right, Ricky Hendon. Now listen. The Ben Joravsky Show is a neutral site. We have all the politicians in the Democratic primaries come on our show.
Sure.
And we're going to get Danny K. Davis on. I know he will come on. I've known Danny for a while. So, Danny, if you're listening, come on the show. We've already had Keena Collins. She's announced that she's going to run. And we've had Anthony Clark. He announced he's going to run. And I know you're a long-time friend and ally of Danny K. Davis, going back to the days when he was an alderman from the West Side,
right,
29th Ward. And so your general thoughts as you see the elder statesman of the Democratic Party getting challenged by two millennials?
Well, first of all, the millennials last election got their ass kicked. None of them won for alderman. None of them. And I tried to advise a few of them. They're arrogant, pompous, and stuck on themselves. And they got stuck at the bottom of the ballot. They lost. These people, Clark and what have they done? I think that people who want to take out somebody like Danny Davis should have a record of working in the community, of things they accomplished. It's not just enough to say anymore, he was a community activist. Really? Barack wasn't even a community activist, truth be told. I tell it like it is. So these people who've done nothing will never beat Danny K. Davis. Never. Ever.
Okay, there we go.
Danny's done a lot. Now, has he gotten a little older? Yes, he has.
We all have.
But let's guess what?
Yeah.
In the House, he just took over a major chairmanship that you want to get your congressman to have. Anybody take him out gonna come in as a rookie, and it'll be 10 years before they get in a position of power. Danny K. Davis is on appropriations, ways and means. He can get money now. He was able to get some stuff before he made it to there. Now he's chairman and sub-chairman. I want somebody who still has a love for the people, still is progressive and independent, and in a position of power. That's who I want my congressman. That's Danny K. Davis. If you don't run, I'll run.
I was just about to say. Well, has Danny announced that he's going to run?
He hasn't announced that I know of. I do believe he's going to run because they just got taken over the House. They just got into power. When you sit there 10 years being in the minority, you know what I mean? And you finally get in the majority.
Yeah, because when Danny first went to Congress, he told me, he said the worst part about being in Congress is you're in meetings from morning, noon to night.
Is that your Danny Davis imitation? That was, you're kind of sliding toward a Danny imitation.
It was Freudian.
Yeah. It just came out of nowhere. Monroe started doing
and
Danny
you're in the minority.
Yeah,
those meetings are so much worse when you're in the minority, which means you can't get nothing done. You just sit there and you vote no or you fight against it. Now you're in the majority. They just got a majority, what, a year and a half ago?
Yeah.
No, he ain't going nowhere.
Ricky, I'm going to flip the switch on you. I'm going to do Ricky Hendon to Ricky Hendon. You just got finished saying that Joe Biden is too old, that the Democrats got to go young for their Democrat. I just heard you say it about half hour ago.
Listen, ain't no shame in my game. I'll break it down to you. Yeah. President is an office that they're trying to take. Congress is a seat we already have. There is a big difference in what you're trying to take. It's just like you trying to get a young woman. You can't go with that shirt you got on right now, dog. You gotta, you know what I'm saying, Aaliyah? You gotta, you know what I mean? Now, if you already got the woman, she don't care whether you got that shirt on or not. Your hairy chest is good enough. But all I'm saying is,
shirt.
Remember, I do comedy. Monroe just told you I did comedy. The seat that Danny has, he has. The position he has, he had. We're trying to take president from Trump. And I believe a lot of the millennials, and I beat them up. I beat them up in person. Yeah. Those who didn't listen and lost. The take, I believe some millennials and some of those, like you say, the middle road people and the independents, they want a younger candidate. And they don't want Hillary again or the warmed over again. They want some new faces, some new fresh ideas. And I'm all with that. But you don't give away a seat you got.
Well, I'll tell you what. I think a lot of people in the city of Chicago agree with you. We got Bobby Rush from the 1st Congressional District.
Well, Bobby don't do nothing.
Okay.
I'm going to keep it real. Danny, come on, man. It's a big difference.
And Jan Schakowsky is also, both of them been around for quite a while. But
look at what they're still doing. That's all I'm saying. You can get old in office, but if you're still alert, if you're still functioning, if you're still getting things done for the community, fine, stay there. I'm talking about the ones who are sleep at the meetings. And Monroe knows. He's seen it. He's in there sleep at the meeting.
Yeah.
Retire.
Yeah.
You know, they're calling him Sleepy Joe. I think Joe could beat him. And why he'd want to do it at this age, I don't know.
He's a chance to be president. And he's been wanting to be president of the United States
I
for
get that. I get that.
Since the 70s, really.
I've wanted to be congressman. But let me tell you something. I said if Danny don't run, I'll run. But I was just joking. I'm trying to buy those candles you bought from
the cannabis candles.
Cannabis candles. I'm trying to eke out a living here. I'm trying to have my music done, and at this point in my life, Monroe, you know what I'm saying? I'm still going from first to third on a base hit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I have a winning record in softball right now, and I'm playing against 18 and 19-year-olds who can't do nothing with me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Why would I want to put that stress back on me of being in office? People do not understand how stressful it is, and Monroe knows because he's right there with Sawyer. It will kill you. It will take you out of here.
It's stressful.
Why do that? How old is Biden?
76.
How old is who?
Joe Biden.
Oh, Biden is 76, isn't he?
Okay, so
but he'd be 77.
You take office at 78. Come on, Grandpa. You know what I mean? Why put that stress? And look, I guarantee you. Remember how Barack looked 3 weeks after he got in there? Everything was gray. He not dyeing his hair anymore. It's like I've lost. Come on, man.
Yeah, but Reagan was old when he went in it. He just looked old when he left.
Yeah, Reagan was dying that
Reagan didn't know, but Reagan wasn't running nothing. You know, you had Nancy and the astrologists, and come on.
All right, now I got to ask you one last question before you head out the door.
Why I gotta leave?
Well, because
white people always put me out of places. Why? This is not right.
I knew you would blame that.
We shall overcome. No.
One of your favorite aldermen was quoted in the newspaper today.
Okay.
Today's Sun-Times. I already talked about this, given my thoughts on this. Embarrassing defeat for Wagasback chairing his first finance committee meeting is the headline in the story.
Thank you. I read it.
You read that story?
Yes.
And so they voted against him. I talked about this earlier on a settlement deal. Now, for all I know, they reversed it today. I've been in the studio. I think they met to try to pass the settlement. But it's a $3.7 million settlement stemming from a drunk driving accident. And Alderman thought that it was unwise for the city of Chicago to spend so much money on the settlement.
That wasn't it.
All right. Well,
I know where you're going.
Yeah,
they wanted to send a message. They did not like Wagasback. I don't like him. He ran Amy Sue Mertens against me for no reason, along with Riley, for no reason other than she was white and I'm black. And they told me, Ricky, the district is changing. What does that mean? More white folk don't move in, so all the black power got to go? What have I done wrong?
Wait, when was this? I can't remember what year
this is when Amy Sue Mertens ran against me, and they said I was losing in the polls, and I said if I get less than 65% of the vote, I'll go on State and Late and pull Mayor Daley's draws down and kiss his lily white ass. And I didn't have to do it because I got 67% of the vote. But they were like, oh, Ricky doesn't fall. The people don't like him. The conservative white people voted for me hands down. I went to the party as soon as I got the numbers from the conservative white folk. The liberals, the progressives, the Wagasbacks, and the O'Reillys were against me. And it's all crap. So they wanted to send a message to him. If Lori Lightfoot, if there was a separate vote for him as chairman of the finance committee, trust me, he would have lost.
Yes, he's not popular.
They don't like him, and they have reasons not to like him. He is a self-serving jerk.
Okay, all right. That's leading the charge was your old friend from the 15th Ward, Alderman Ray Lopez, who is one of the
politics makes strange bedfellows. Lopez is one of the greatest aldermen I've ever seen. No, I don't like him either.
The look Ricky Henning just gave me, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway,
politics make strange bedfellows. But that was a message to Wagasback.
Absolutely. Look, I liken it to this. And I'll end the show the way I began it, Ricky Hendon and Monroe Anderson. The city council is like high school. There are the popular kids and the unpopular kids. And Scott Waguespack is an unpopular kid, and he's replacing Ed Burke, who is very popular. And I personally, Ricky, you and I may disagree with this, could not stand Ed Burke as an alderman. I did not like the way he ran the finance committee. I did not like the way he had a conflict of interest with the property tax appeal. But I'm not an alderman in the Chicago City Council. They love him.
Let me tell you something that Anna Langford taught me. Monroe knows Anna.
16th Ward alderman.
Yeah, former alderman. Anna had a big bowl of candy on front of her desk like you have right here.
Just like, help yourself.
I mean, on yours is all just all white, little lifesaver things here. Anna had the rainbow.
It's mint.
She had, Anna had like the little bitty miniature Snickers, and she kept it there. And why did she keep it there? I asked her one day. She said, Ricky, alderman, I was alderman. She said, everybody comes by and grab a little piece of candy, and I chit-chat with them. In the end of the chit chat, I might ask him to vote a certain way, or you know what I mean? I show myself to be friendly. And she taught me that. Show yourself to be friendly. When I became senator, Emil Jones put me with all the downstaters. He wanted me to be chairman of the agriculture committee. I'm like, man, I don't grow no peanuts and popcorn on the west side. I ain't growing no cotton. But he said, listen, he said, Monroe appreciate this. He said, that ain't the point. He said, I want you to get to one day, you're going to need these country bumpkin Democrat guys. Someone was as racist as they could get. But we became friends. I cut down their racist stuff. They cut down my black militant stuff. And we were able to work together. But we never would have been able to work together if it didn't have a visionary like Emil Jones, who said, hey, you got to mingle and mix and DD. And like Anna said, hey, my candy attracts people and shows me to be friendly. Waguespack has done none of that. He says, I'm the independent, I'm the progressive.
Let me ask you this.
I'm better than everybody else.
Do you think it's possible to be an outspoken independent and support a vote against the mayor's initiatives and still have that Anna Langford in you where you could put the candy out on the table and say to the other alderman, I'm just going to tell you something right now, Ricky Hendon. I'm going to vote against. I know he's your guy. You love Rahm Emanuel more than life itself, but I'm going to vote against him. You're going to hate me when it's all. Is it possible for an alderman to do that?
I was unfortunately one time I ran and they put they OJ'd my picture. These were some white people in the white neighborhood. They OJ'd my picture when Amy Summers was running against me while I was packing them. So they took a picture of me and they darkened it, made it black as they could make me. And they put it all up in the white neighborhood, right? And they thought it was going to kill me with the white voters, right? I would knock on white people's door. They was like, Ricky, I took that crap off my door. I took it off the polls. We took it down ourselves. We know this is just some crap because when people get to know you as a person, they got to know I'm not a black militant crazy guy. I'm for my people. I understand that my base was West Side African American, but I know how to go to Greektown and Chinatown, and I know how to have a bowl of candy on my desk. You know what I'm saying? And the thing about Burke, yeah, he had his issues, but Ed would play the piano at your fundraisers and sing and everything, and you know. So yes, you can do it, but you have to. People will be able to see through whether it's fake or not. If it's not fake, I mean, I was alderman and still doing stand-up. So how am I this racist, crazy guy? Yeah, am I chairman of Black Caucus? Yes. Do I want to say we have a black agenda and push that agenda? Yes. Was I against the mayor sometime, whether it was Sawyer or, yeah. You know, there were times I disagree with Harold. There are times I disagree with Willie Wilson. Yeah. I disagree with Willie on some stuff right now, and that's my guy. I was with him yesterday. You know,
that's a whole other discussion. So I got to get Willie back at the show.
And you should do it. You should be independent and progressive. And I'm giving Lori Lightfoot all the space she needs because she needs at least a year, you know, to really you can see where she's really coming from. But if she comes up with a sugar tax or something like that, I'm going to be on the Ben Joravsky show saying, hell to the no.
Hell to the no. Monroe, do you think it's possible to vote against the mayor, speak out against the mayor, and still do something nice like Anna Langford, put some candy on your table and win the other alderman over?
She seems pretty tough.
Yeah.
Well, I did more than that.
Yeah.
There's this thing called defer and publish in Chicago.
Yeah.
And in
put it off.
Too. So if you want to put something off, you know you're going to lose, but you need 3 weeks or whatever to try to negotiate something. Everybody, and you need 3 aldermen to vote with you. Everybody in city council knew if you needed somebody to defer and publish, go get Ricky.
Yeah.
Ricky gonna say, you got 2 more? And if you had your other two, I was your third. Everybody knew it. So guess what? If I needed to defer and publish, guess what? I never lost. Because people owed me favors.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, he's a power of the West Side, that's for sure.
All right, that is Monroe Anderson, Ricky Hendon in the studio. Thank you both very much. Leah did a great job as always.
Yay, Leah.
And Ricky, I got to just tell you something about this man over here. The man, the myth, the legend, the man who makes it all happen, the pride and joy of Alton, Illinois, behind the board. Ricky, do you know what they call him down home in Alton?
What do they call him?
White Lightning.
No, they don't. Nobody calls me that.
Is that because of what he drinks or how fast he can run?
How fast he is. He's so fast, they call him White Lightning. Anyway, that's Dr. D. Did a great job. Give yourself a raise. Take it out of petty cash. See you tomorrow, everybody.
All right.
Hey, and remember, you can download previous Ben Joravsky shows at both Chicago Sun-Times and Chicago Reader websites, chicagoreader.com, chicago.suntimes.com/Joravsky, and wherever else you download your favorite podcasts. Downloaders, you know we live stream this show? Yeah, we do. Tuesday through Fridays, 1 until 3 p.m. at both sites as well, chicagoreader.com, chicago.suntimes.com/Joravsky. Oh, and check out our Facebook and Twitter pages at Benny J Show.